Spend my days with a woman unkind, smoke my stuff and drink all my wine. Made up my mind to make a new start, going to California with a naked in my heart. Someone told me there's a girl out there with love in her eyes and flowers in her hair. Took my chances on a big jet plane. Never let them tell you they're all the same. The sea was red and the sky was gray. Wondered how tomorrow could ever follow today. The canyons and the mountains start to tremble and shake. Children of the sun begin to awake. It seems that the wrath of the gods got a punch on the nose, and it's starting to flow. I think I might be sinking. Throw me a line if I reach it in time. Meet you up there where the path runs straight and high. To find a queen without a king, they say she plays the guitar and cries and sings la 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 la. Ride a white mare at the footsteps of dawn, trying to find a woman who's never, never, never been born. Standing on my hill in the mountain of dreams, and telling myself it's not as hard as it seems.
Do you have any control over being conscious? Do you know how you will? When you say, I intend to take my hand down from my face and put it on my leg. I can do that, but I don't know how the hell it's done. So that what we mean by the capacity of voluntary control, in the ordinary sense of the word, is that we don't understand it at all. So you might say, in a funny backwards way, that the only kind of control you really understand is that where you're not using your will. Because you just do it so easy, like you open and close your hand. You know how to do it? Sure you know how to do it. But you can't put it into words and explain to someone how to do it. You say, well, come on, aren't you human? Don't you know how to open and close your hand? Just do it, silly. But we don't realize, you see, that just as we know how to do this, we know equally well how to turn the sun into light, how to blue the sky, how to blow the wind, how to wave the ocean, how to digest food, and I might add, to be digested by bacteria and transformed. As we transform our steaks, we will in turn be transformed. But the pattern keeps going. And it's always you. Only you see you have this marvelous capacity to transform yourself without knowing that you're doing it. Therefore you keep surprising yourself. And therefore you keep on doing it. Because if you didn't surprise yourself, you wouldn't go on doing it. It's just the very fact, you see, that you seem to be the victims of a thing you don't understand, and that you seem to conclude your life every time in a wipeout called death, where all your control goes. It's just exactly that opposite condition to what you call being alive that allows you to be alive. Only every time it happens, it's like it's new. It's like every time you're born, it seems like it was the only time. But of course, if it wasn't like that, you wouldn't do it. When Hindus and Buddhists use the word karma, the basic meaning of it is action, from the Sanskrit root kri, to do. And therefore there is some error in the common translation of karma as a law of cause and effect or of cosmic retribution. As a man sows, so also shall he reap. Has a Western flavor, which is a little causal. The way the Buddha put it was slightly different. This arises, that becomes. Because between this and that, there is a polar relationship. And the full explanation of karma in Buddhist philosophy is called pratitya samutpada, which means the interdependent origination of all the forms and phases of life. Pratitya samutpada. And there are 12 links, shall we say, in the chain of interdependent origination, constituting a circle. And the existence of the circle depends on the presence of every one of the links. From one point of view in Buddhism, the chain of interdependent origination is looked upon as a chain, that is to say, as a form of bondage. The constituents, as it were, of the vicious circle in which most people and beings are living, which they call samsara, S-A-M-S-A-R-A, samsara, the round of birth and death, the bhava chakra, the wheel of bhava, which is becoming. And so going round and round and round in the endless game of hide and seek is from one point of view bondage. Bondage to karma. And if you study the Bhagavad Gita, which is not a Buddhist book but a Hindu scripture, Krishna, the spokesman of the Gita, explains that the wise man is one who does what is called nishkama karma, nishkama, N-I-S-H-K-A-M-A, meaning passionless activity, in the sense that he acts without seeking a result, without being motivated by the fruits of action, and therefore is not bound by his own action. You can be bound to samsara, the wheel of birth and death, by iron chains or gold chains. The chains are, I'm talking in more or less the language of popular Hinduism, that if you do bad deeds in this life, you will get a bad result next time. If you do good deeds in this life, you may be reborn as an angel or as a monk, in which you'll get a better chance of liberation. But still, so long as you're looking for results, be they good or evil, you're still bound. Now, the way in which one becomes, as it were, free of karma involves another Buddhist point of view, which is a kind of a different way of looking at the chain of interdependent origination. It's the way which the Japanese call jiji muge. That is to say, the mutual interpenetration of all things and events. So that you could say that actually, in fact, the deepest level of reality, this entire cosmos is a completely harmonious and blissful manifestation of everything in a state of total enlightenment and mutual compassion. And therefore the task of the Buddhist or the Hindu discipline of meditation, the sadhana, the way of spiritual development, is to realize that, for everybody, to realize it effectively in his own life, and therefore cease from the illusion that the universe is a fragmented process of conflict. But first of all, we have to be clear about karma, that it is not to be understood in the Western sense of a law of cause and effect, or of a sort of retribution system, or a law. The word law is most unsuitable for concepts in Eastern, Indian and Chinese philosophy. The word dharma, D-H-A-R-M-A, sometimes meaning the Buddhist doctrine, or a certain way of life. When you talk about a person's svadharma, you mean their own function. We would translate svadharma as vocation. Sva is the same as the Latin suus, one's own. Dharma, function in this case. Operation, way of life, style of life, profession, trade, role. Means all those things. And the one thing that dharma really never means is law, although it's often translated that way. Because you see, you don't get the idea of law until you move to a culture where order is based on the idea of obedience. In the West, you see, the origins of law spring from where? The laws of the Medes and the Persians, the laws of Hammurabi, the laws of Moses, and later Roman law. The only healthy legal tradition we have in the West is British common law, which proceeds in an entirely different way from code law. Because you see, the difference between code law and common law is that code law is laid down by the wisdom of an all-powerful ruler who tells everybody how they must behave, and they must obey him. But common law is evolved by discussion of particular cases, rather than referring all the time to abstract principles which are put down in words. And the judge, the good judge, is a wise man, a man with a sense of equity and fair play, who arbitrates an issue which is debated in front of him, and from the precedent which he creates by his decision, common law evolves. You see, that's a more organic way of producing law. The code law system, which we inherit from our most ancient theological backgrounds, is a tyrannical method of law by imposition. And so you must understand that in both Hinduism and Buddhism, there is really no fundamental idea of obedience to a personal ruler. Certainly not in Buddhism. A little bit sometimes in Hinduism. But even then we get terribly mixed up because, for example, I was talking of the Bhagavad Gita. This is often translated the Lord's Song. Now for Bhagavan, or Bhagavat in Sanskrit, Lord is an English equivalent, is quite inappropriate. Because a Lord is one who lords it over you. Bhagavan is a title of reverence and respect and love. The song of the beloved would be much better in a way, although it's not quite correct from a strict point of view. We don't really have an equivalent for this word, the Bhagavan. So, although you see there has been in India itself tyrannical rule, and although the Arthashastra, as a manual of politics, it gives directions to a tyrant as to how to govern by absolute power, going along with this exposition of this very Machiavellian point of view to government is the constant advice of the sage. Yes, this is what you have to do in order to fulfill your office as a ruler, but never forget that you'll never succeed. The more you try to rule things by force, the more you will stir up violence against you. And so you can never hold on to your power and your possessions. It will always flow away from you. So there was one of those great Rajas of ancient India who asked a jeweler to make him a ring that would restrain him in prosperity and support him in adversity. And the jeweler wrote on the ring, "It will pass." But when we come to the deep cosmological and metaphysical ideas, we don't have law in the Western sense, and therefore nature is not looked upon as something which is an orderly system because it is obeying a commandment. In the West, we inherit the idea of law from those ancient conceptions of God, and it is even passed down into science, where we discuss laws of nature. But one recognizes more and more in the sciences that what we call laws of nature are simply observed regularities in the way things behave. And you, in order to observe regularities, you must look at things through something regular. That is to say, you must lay a ruler alongside them, or compare their behavior with the regular behavior of a clock. But clocks and rulers are human inventions. They are regular measures which we use for comparing the rates of change. Say, a clock is a measure of a rate of change. It's quite arbitrary. But we very easily compare our regulation measuring devices with what makes things happen, as if the sun rises because it's 6 in the morning. That's being completely backwards in one's thinking. And we get into the same confusion when we imagine, for example, that money is wealth. Here we have fantastic wealth, and we have the technological possibility of making everybody on earth the enjoyer of an independent income. We can't do it because people say, where's the money going to come from? Because they think money makes prosperity. It's the other way around. It's physical prosperity which has money as a way of measuring it. But people think money has to come from somewhere, like hydroelectric power or lumber or iron, and it doesn't. Money is something we invent, like inches. So you remember the Great Depression? When there was a slump? And what did we have a slump of? Money. There was no less wealth, no less energy, no less raw materials than there were before, but it's like you came to work on building a house one day, and they said, sorry, you can't build this house today, no inches. What do you mean, no inches? Just inches. We don't mean we got inches of lumber. Yes, we got inches of metal. We've even got tape measures. But there's a slump in inches as such, you see. And people are that crazy. They can have a depression because they've got no inches to go around, or no dollars. That's all a lot of nonsense. But you see, because we get thinking backwards, making the metaphysical tail wag the dog, making the law rule things, whereas it doesn't. It's merely a way of measuring what happens. And so you see, when you get into Buddhistic thought, you don't get that confusion. You're the other way around. So you're looking at a system where, to go back to the Buddha's words, this arises, that becomes, which is a way of saying, you can't have this without that. You can't have here without there. You wouldn't know where here was unless you knew where there was. And they come into being together. You don't get first here and then there, or first there and then here. These arise interdependently. That's the meaning of interdependent origination. And to grasp the idea of interdependent origination is as important as the idea about seeing how things are related by space and intervals. And seeing, therefore, that you tend to look at life from a myopic point of view and see details, see the trees and not the forest, see yourself as something loosely related to everything else that's going on and not integral to it. You see the figure but ignore the background. But the figure and the background arise mutually. They are to each other as this is to that. And so we really have to rid our brains of the notion of causality. The notion of causality being that present sets of circumstances are the result of past sets of circumstances. And that therefore certain events which are called causes are responsible for following events called effects. And all this is an enormous piece of mumbo-jumbo. Because what is not seen and what is not clear in thinking that way is that in physical nature there are no separate events. This is startling to people. But it's really quite easy to see that there are no events in nature. Because you can ask very simply, let's take something called an event. How do we demark it from other events? At what point, shall we say, were you born? Were you born at parturition? Or when the doctor slapped you on the bottom? Or cut the umbilical cord? Or when you were conceived? Or when your father and mother were first attracted to each other? When was it? When did you begin? There's no way of deciding except arbitrarily. And for legal purposes, we say you were born at parturition. And that's when the astrologer casts your horoscope, except that other astrologers disagree and want the conception time. And say, that's the real beginning. There isn't a real beginning. It goes back and back and back in an inseparable continuity. When are you dead? That's another big argument. And you can get all kinds of ideas about that. So once you see that an event is a term in an intellectual calculus, calculus being the way of measuring, say, curved formations by reducing them to point instants and counting it, you see? But actually, the point instants are imaginary. The curve wiggles along, and it doesn't stutter from point to point. But in calculus, you make it do that. So, just as there are no point instants in the curve, so there are no events in nature. Nature is a constantly fluctuating pattern. You can only designate particular wiggles in a pattern arbitrarily. You can count a convex formation as one wiggle, or a concave formation as one wiggle. Then you decide if you call it one way, if you give the convex properties the title of wiggle, you have to deny it to the concave properties. And vice versa. So when you see that what we call separate events don't exist, it becomes nonsense to speak of one event causing another. What you really mean is that the two events which you speak of as being causally related are simply two parts of the same event. They go with each other in the same way as this with that. The relationship is not causal. It is mutual. And it works two ways in time, because so-called future events are not merely passive to past events. But you could easily see when, for example, any biological process goes on, you can reason just as well from the future to the past as from the past to the future. Why do two mammals have sexual intercourse? Well, it isn't just that they enjoy it. It's also that they're a very complex system which does this because it makes babies. And the prospect of baby works in reverse and creates desire. You can reason that way, or it's silly, because the whole process is one. And when we speak humanly and purposively, I am going downtown to buy groceries, then a future event could be said to be the cause of why you're now starting out to get into the car, buying groceries. And the difficulty we have in seeing this to be so is that we think in an either-or way, which is what is called dualism in Hindu-Buddhist thought, and that liberation is being free from dualism. So when you think in an either-or way, you see the figures in the background as moving, and therefore being responsible for their action. But if somebody argues the other way round, say the figures are just following lines of force in a field, gravitational principles say, we're all human beings, you see, we're all concentrated on the fact that we're individually rushing around and doing this and that. But we don't see that we're equally sucked, and that we move around in response to all sorts of stimuli. But neither position is adequate. You have to see that our being sucked by all sorts of stimuli is exactly the same thing as our apparently voluntary and deliberate action. Because what we're looking at is not this Newtonian game of billiards, where balls roll because they are hit by cues. What we're involved in is a dance where, for example, watch a snake. When a snake swims, there's nothing more beautiful than watching a snake swim in water. Lovely motion. But you see, it wiggles along, and its wiggle is conceivable, you see, as convex, or was it concave? This way, and that way, and this way, and that way. Now, which side of the snake moves first when it wiggles? So it's very easy to see there. Now, when we interact with the world, what moves first? Who starts it? The objective world or the subjective world? But they are related as this to that. You can't have an object without a subject, or a subject without an object. You can't have something known without the knower. And that gives the show away. There isn't any real distinction between the knower and the known. There's two ways of looking at something, yes. Two poles of a single process. But the knower and the known are subsumed as the knowing. And all life is knowing. Being, becoming. And it isn't something, in other words, that works by the idea of all this happens because someone shoves it. Now you see, the idea all this happens because someone shoves it is basic to Western thinking. There is the Lord God who's the boss. And he sloshes this universe into being and shoves it and sets it going. And you better obey that shove, because he's introduced into it some recalcitrance by giving to human beings what the Hebrews call the Yetzer Hara, the wayward spirit, so that they shall be able to play certain games on their own. Because nothing very interesting would happen if everybody obeyed God. The whole world would be like a lifeless thing, you see. So they had to reason that into it in order to save face for God, practically. Because otherwise he could be blamed for all the catastrophes that happened, instead of our being able to say to each other, well, it's our fault. But you see then, once we are up against this possibility that the distinction between what we do and what happens to us is obliterated. And therefore we would say with Hindus and Buddhists that if I run into a catastrophe, it is my karma. You see, that means far more than that it is a punishment for something I did wrong in the past. That is a legalistic view of karma. But a naturalistic or organic view of karma is, in fact, that what happens to me is what I do. And that in a certain sense, I want what happens to me. We can use want, notice how we use this word. It means to desire and it means to lack or to need. We say to somebody, you're wanting. You're deficient in something that you need. So it's rather alarming, really, when you consider it, that you always get what you want. Invariably. Even though you may think that it's entirely opposed to your wishes. But if it's your karma, everything that happens to you, put it in another way, everything that comes to you is a return to you of what goes out of you. Yes, obviously, that's absurd. If you confine the definition of yourself to your voluntary, conscious behavior. That's a ridiculous definition of oneself. Oneself, by any stretch of the imagination, must involve far more than the conscious and voluntary aspects of our behavior.
Here we are. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for being here. It's Saturday night. We're talking about Zen. We're talking about development, and we're talking about self-responsibility. So that's what we talk about here at my show. I had tough news this week about my mom. Her health is failing. Haven't lost a parent yet. So, yeah, uncharted waters. But it's been an interesting week. I've had good studies this week. I feel good about what I'm presenting tonight. And I'm happy. I'm happy to be here and happy to be with you guys. Let me see if I can get this a little bit better centered here. There. Yeah. Let's go to comments and let's see how y'all are doing. All right. Let's see who's here tonight. I'm going to the top this time. And let's see who's here. Let's make a death band. There we go. Can I play those heavy riffs on guitar if I need a guitarist? Thank you. Yes, we will form a band. Thank you. Yes, we will form a band. Hello, Michelle. Thanks for being here. Thank you so much for being here. It's good to see you. Hello, Clintrons. Thanks for being at the Zoom. We had a good Zoom. Yesterday. We talked about what happens after you die. And I didn't mention, simply from time, and it was a long discussion, but I didn't mention that how do I say this? In my opinion, here in the Great Awakening and what's happening, I have the strong feeling or sense that it's not the way it was when they wrote the Book of the Dead, that it's not the way it was back in the day. And that when you die now, it's different. It has changed because, in my opinion, the world is no longer wholly captured. I do believe that portions of it still are and will be for some time. But I am under the conviction that the world is changing. And I don't just mean in the sense of the illusion that we live in the non-reality that is reality, supposedly. And change isn't limited to just one density. Change spans the densities because we affect, are we not an effect of all the densities, our true identity, that which animates the body? And so, yeah, it's of my opinion that your destiny, or whatever you want to call it, what happens when you die, is different than it used to be. And I believe that there will be clarity, and it won't be as difficult and crazy of a puzzle that you're put into because, like I said, the world is no longer wholly captured. And honestly, I think that that's also part of the reason for some of the depopulation that's happening. Countries, as you know, our country, America, as well as many other countries, are declining. Where if you look at the future, where things are at with the development of the next generation, you'll see that there's a decline, and it's pretty severe. And if you consider the amount of people in the world that actually partook or took part in the whole COVID episode, and they made some decisions that maybe they regret, we know that those injections go immediately to basically the gonads and the ovaries and fill those areas and cause great dysfunction. And so the reason I say that isn't to bring about bad news. The reason I say that is because I think that the recycling, quote unquote, for lack of a better term, reincarnation and the karmic exercise that has been going on for thousands of years has shifted. And I'd like to have a conversation like that about that in Zoom one of these days, because we didn't get to it this week. But I think that definitely the ancient books of the past, the Egyptian Book of the Dead, and a number of other apocryphal books that have been written by many different sects of people over time. I think the scenario is a bit different. I do. I think the essential principle is the same, but I think the scenario has changed, because I think in order to continue to have an earth that's taken over by evil, to continue to be able to potentiate itself and continue through time, there has to be some type of obstruction in the organic features, the self-culling features of any natural organism. And I see the earth as a natural organism. And so I think that all of that stuff is infiltrated. And so I do think that times have changed. We'll get into that more so in a minute here. Yes, Mel. So glad that you're here. We've missed you. Missed you in Zoom also. Hey, Jay. Welcome, buddy. Is that a pup there? Yeah, it's a little pup. Nice. Love dogs. Nice. Nice. Obi, what's going on, buddy? I haven't seen you in forever. It would be great to see you. Try to come to Zoom one of these days. Congratulations, you're getting a van. Didn't you have a car accident? So this would be a follow-up. So I hope everything worked out okay, that you're okay, and that you were able to get the van and get mobile for sure. Look at this. Mel, I brought my baby girl home today. Thank you all for praying and supporting me. This continues to be a try. That's fantastic. I'm so glad you're able to do that for your child. That's fantastic. I think that's a parent's dream, to buy a house for their kids. Hey, Chuck. Nice. Hello, Miss Redhead. Peace and goosebumps. It's nice. Yeah, it's a good intro. I've got it for the outro too, in case you missed it. What is going on? It does. It did sound like Joni Mitchell, didn't it? Very much a good call there, High Verbal. Nice. Nice. What's up, Ken? Welcome, buddy. Glad that you're here. Hey, Gretchen. If that was you that wrote me this week, thank you so much. You sent me a very sweet letter this week. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, absolutely, Shan. Thank you for that, friend. Definitely send it Mel's way for sure. For sure. Hey, Linda. Look at that pooch. Nice. Another great looking dog. Absolutely. Can't get enough of the pups. Here I am. That's me. I'm here, Prospero. Welcome, buddy. Good to see you. Yeah, we got some good teachings coming up tonight, I promise. Nice. Alexandrite is one of my favorites, Chuck. What I went to Gia to study really absorbed the crystal. Yeah, because you've done a lot of work in precious metals and crystals and gems, from what I understand, Shan. So I bet you do know a lot about that stuff for sure. For sure. My wife loves crystals. She's really into that stuff. She has a whole collection of them that she keeps on her desk. It's really cool. What's up, Flap? Glad to be here. Oh, I'm glad that you're here. Look at the cat. Yes. The ultimate exemplar of Zen. Yes, the cat is the model for sure. The nonplussed perfection. Yes, the true bliss for sure. Absolutely beyond the body for sure. For sure. We are in the midst of big change. Hey, Stacy, what's going on? Thanks for being here, love. Glad to see you. Yeah, chess set tonight. It was awesome. It was awesome. My dad and my older brother are humongous chess fans. I never really got into it hardcore. My son did, but I never really got into it really hardcore, though I really appreciate the game. It's an incredible game. Good for learning strategy and so forth. I think they still teach it at the Naval Academy, don't they? Yeah, it gets the brain working in the old strategy mode. Okay. Well, I got something that I want to talk to you about. Let's go to media assets. Here. Okay. So, need to bring a couple things up. Got some announcements. Let's go to the split side so that you can see me. Hang on, here, and here. There. So, the summer shindig. We need to talk about the summer shindig. Do you guys want to? Let me get out of here for a minute. Do you guys want to have a summer shindig? Now, last year I set up a meeting, and it was in early August, and it was great for me and Jen. Me and Jen went. We had a good time. It was at Artist Point in Washington, but nobody showed up. So that's fine. It's fine because it's the place is about 45 minutes an hour from my house here, so it's no big deal. And it's absolutely gorgeous, and I go a few times a year every year. So it's fine that nobody showed up. It's great. Jen and I went on a nice long hike and enjoyed the beautiful sights and weather. And so I'm happy to try again. Maybe a couple will show up, but I didn't know if you guys wanted to start talking dates for that. Now, the dates that work best for us up here as far as weather is concerned is going to be basically after July 4 until about August 15. That 6 week or so window is prime time. It's the most beautiful, gorgeous weather up here. And even if we do get rain, because you guys know up here in the Pacific Northwest, we get a lot of rain. But during that time of year for about 6 months, if you actually do get rain, it's only around for a few minutes or an hour or whatever, and then it goes away. It doesn't stay like it does in the other seasons here. So in the summertime, the best time for us to plan to go would be sometime in July. Now, when I look at my calendar, because I know all you guys are planning your vacations if you haven't already. When I look at my calendar here for upcoming July, June, July, the 4th is a Saturday. So there's the 11th, the 18th, the 25th, and the 1st as options. Now, if you guys want to, you can email me dates, or I'll just go to chat and see if any dates come up. But do any of those dates look good for you guys? Now's your chance to have a direct influence on what is going to happen with the group. Let's go to chat here. So going to the bottom, start throwing me dates. Yeah, it's going to be at Artist Point in Washington. Feel free to look it up. It's going to be right on your Google Maps. Artist Point, Mount Baker, Washington, USA. That's where we're going. And it's just very beautiful trails and lovely places to walk around. It's absolutely gorgeous. You can spend 2 or 3 hours up there. It's beautiful. Probably this year, I think I'm just going to go ahead and plan it for the afternoon rather than try to make an evening thing work, because that will give people time to go back down the mountain and grab some early dinner or late or dinner time, late lunch on their way home. So I was thinking of doing it more towards midday. Anytime works. July 11th. Okay, yeah, July is a good month, dude. I agree, Gretchen. Yeah, Side Pigeon, I agree, my friend. July is good. Very sweet. Here we go, 8-1. So August, you're thinking, okay. My sis lives in Portland, and I would like to visit her. Yeah, that would be awesome, Gretchen. It'd be great to meet you. That's the thing for me, is that it would just be a rush for me to meet some of you guys, because some of you guys I've actually started to develop a real friendship with through emails and connection, and it would be just amazing to see you. Jenny's going to be there. My kids probably won't be there, but Jenny will be there, and it will just be there. There won't be any agenda. We're going to enjoy the beautiful sights, walk around, check out some of the trails. There's plenty of places to walk. It's picturesque. It's stunning, beautiful, jaw-dropping, everything you can imagine. So all good. Yeah. Why don't we have a couple days, since some will be driving across the country? That's a good idea, Gail. Possibly. Possibly. We'll be there in April. Send me an email, Koji or Kogi. Maybe we could meet up. That'd be fun. It'd be fun to just meet you. It'd just be fun to meet some of these people. I mean, it would be a rush. This is incredible. So that would be very cool. Nice, Stacy. Very kind of you to offer love. Heck yeah. Yeah, cool. Glad you are down with it. Okay. I'm so sorry you're grieving, Mel. I'm so sorry. Okay. Yeah, so brilliant. Let's just start talking dates. Shoot some dates at me. That's what's going to be open. I can do it any of those dates in July. Let's just go ahead and shoot for some time in July. Everyone seemed to agree that July was the time to do it. So that definitely be the time to do it. Just so you guys know, there's plenty of campgrounds up here. Silver Lake has 2 campgrounds that you can actually bring horses. They have a horse camp on Silver Lake or next to Silver Lake. And they're set up for horses, and people do it every year. They bring their horses and they go horseback riding all over the place because it's so beautiful here. I mean, it's you can't believe the beauty. So lots of trails. There's plenty of Airbnb. So some of you guys that make the drive, there's lots of Airbnb. If you check out Mount Baker, what is it? Mount Baker Facilities, Mount Baker Hotel and Lodging, something like that. But check out the Airbnbs up here. There's lots of them, and every price range, everything from the super expensive stuff to the really inexpensive stuff, everything in between. So basically a shoe for every person. And so if you want to come up, if you are making a drive and all that, I mean, think about staying a few days in the Airbnb. There's fishing, there's, lakeside stuff that you can do. There's camping, there's 2 different campgrounds. There's bike riding. Obviously, there's trail walking, and you can go up to Mount Baker multiple days. They have some trails that are 2, 3, 5, 7, 10 miles long, and you can make a day of it. Just do your own thing and just really soak it up. I mean, if you're going to make the trip up here, why not make it a few days and just soak it up? Because I'm telling you, I've shown you guys some pictures. If you go back down to Zen week 1, week 2, week 3, I think the first 3 or 4 weeks, I did nothing but photos or lots of photos from up there. So you can actually see pictures of it. You can't believe how beautiful it is. We have people that come here from the Alps, from Switzerland to vacation here because it's so beautiful. So you might want to think and check it out. And of course, I would love to see some of you guys and just say hello and meet you. That would just be amazing. Okay. Next, I have another announcement to make. I have been asked to do an interview with Alex Saunders. I've done one other interview with him. He's great. He's Australian. Heck yeah. Australian brother and friend. And he's asked me to come back. And he actually asked me this time to do my presentation on the KM that I did with Archaics. And so that was a hit. That seemed to go over really well. And so I have that talk. And so I'll be presenting that. And as you guys know, this stuff never comes out the same way twice. So I'm sure during my presentation with Alex, I'll be focused on things that I never even mentioned the first time I gave the talk with Archaics. And also, just to support Alex, I mean, he's doing a great job. He does good work there. As you guys can see here, he had Miss Lucas on there, and she's fantastic. If you guys are interested in reading or seeing, I should say, or hearing the testimonies of her guests, Anike Lucas has some amazing guests, and most of them are SRA survivors. That's satanic ritual abuse survivors. And so my talk on the KM falls right in line with the kind of stuff that he's covering right now. I don't follow him tightly because I just don't have the time. But the few things that I've seen from Alex have been fantastic. And the last time I had an interview with him, it was just a grand time. Had a wonderful time. And how can you beat hanging out with an Australian? I mean, you can't go wrong. So yeah, good times. And we already talked about the post-death stuff. Is that right? I didn't know that, Redhead. That's good to know. I did gather a number of people from that. Yeah, for sure. That would be interesting, Shan. That would be interesting to do an interview with Cliff, because Cliff and I align on some things really well, and on other things, man, we don't at all. I'm almost, I mean, in many ways, sacrilegious to some of his views. So it'd be interesting. I don't sense Cliff is like a lot of other folks that are on the net, in that they really take offense to people that don't agree with them. And so I don't know, maybe Cliff is doing better than he used to, but he used to get pretty hacked when people didn't go along with it. That's one of the reasons why I haven't done an interview with a number of people, was because just the projection of hate and anger is just so strong. So I hope that would work out to meet up with Cliff. That would be amazing. But I don't know what would happen, because I mean, he has some interesting views, but he is on the money with a lot of stuff. On the money. Heck, I've used Cliff in a number of my KM videos. The second video, I used his theory on, what was it? The chromosome number 2, is it? That's been manipulated. Is it 2 or 7? I think it's 2. That's been manipulated. And some of his work on that is just beyond belief outstanding. So yeah, for sure. Is that right? Is that right? I didn't know that. Well, that's fantastic. I didn't know that so many of you had found me through him. The Way Forward podcast is brilliant, my friend. Nice. Outstanding. Oh, is that right, Stacy? Is a SRA? So that's satanic ritual abuse, for those of you that don't know. What she went through is par with Annika, including the killing. Oh. Yeah, they have children kill each other. Got to get out of that space. Hello. All right. Oh, man, you and Cliff, hi, would be fabulous. So what about David Icke? Yeah, I'd actually love to have a conversation with David. I really respect him. He's been around for a long time. He's been doing this, and that guy has really taken a beat down, a real beating for his views. So it would be good to talk to him. Yeah, I don't know how they recover. I don't know how they recover. With the things that I've heard and what they do, I don't know how you recover. Because some of this stuff that I've read just in my research, I still have in my head. You know, you can't get it out of your head. It's so sick. And yeah, you can't. Yeah, they gave up their humanness. Part of, and I talk about this in parts 3B, C, 3A, B, and C. I talk about how the humanness of a person is removed. It is systematically. You can remove the compassion and humanness in a person to the point where they can't access it until they do tremendous amount of work. It gets so suppressed, and their abuse and trauma means are so effective. And that's really a clue, everybody. The same people that invented the government and medical and religious systems for the world are the same people, the same groups, organizations that developed human torture techniques and how to utilize lies and propaganda and egregores to destroy the world and society. So the same people, institutions that are carrying out this abuse are the exact same ones that wrote our laws. How about them apples? Are the exact same ones that wrote the recommendations for you medically. Are the exact same ones that run the scientific institutions that determine what is truth and what isn't. Same people. Same people. The same people that are underground in the bases, like at Dulce and so forth, are the same people that you see in Congress talking to the camera. Same people. The same people. Remember when everyone was so obsessed with Antarctica? Remember that? And remember when they had all those anons that tied into the phone codes, cellular phone codes for people. And then they traced the locations of the phones for the people when they went to Antarctica. And when you look at the phone tracings in Antarctica, they're all going to the same place under the ice. They're all congregating. You think they're telling you what they're doing there? You really think you know what's going on there? Really? You think you know? If you're on the dark web, do you really think you know? You think that information is even on the dark web? Let alone the regular internet. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, horrendously evil people. I mean, evil to the core. Yeah, I completely agree. Steady Eddie. Completely agree. Dark forces at work. I feel that way. Absolutely. Oh, great looking cat on there. I feel that way in many ways until I begin to go down the rabbit hole of satanic abuse, and all of a sudden I find something in that happened to me the week before this last one. I heard a detail of what they do to the children, especially blonde-haired, blue-eyed children, namely what I used to be. I found out what they specifically have for those ones, because the kids that have the blonde hair and blue eyes are given special sacrifices that are even more torturous than the normal torture that they do to the child. Yeah, I found that out 2 weeks ago, and I still can't get it out of my head, and I won't. That's one of the reasons why I don't want to do further research into it, because I'm tired of having that crap in my head. I'm tired of having that crap in my head, and I don't want it in my head anymore. Yeah, they've been mind controlled. Yes, exactly. You're nailing it, Stacy. She actually didn't remember it. Yeah, exactly. Okay, that is a brilliant point there, Stacy. That's a brilliant point. Okay, this is so important. What folks need to understand is, as a part of the reprogramming and dehumanizing of these people that are involved in this stuff, right, is removal of memories and replacing those memories with other memories. So a lot of times we'll hear or watch people on the internet who are giving their testimony. And let's say they're talking about reptilians or something. And so they'll be talking about that, and they'll have all these details, and they'll talk about going to Mars, and they'll talk about going to bases there. They'll talk about all this work and stuff that's going on the moon and all this stuff that's happening in regards to the reptilian stuff. But what you guys need to know is just understand this. All of those memories can be programmed. If you're hardcore CIA product victim, they program in as much memory as they remove. Do you understand? Like the person, the individual who's abused will have clear, lucid memories, but they're all programmed. So it's almost impossible. Here's the sad situation. It's almost impossible with an SRA victim. It's almost impossible to tell when they're telling the truth or lying, because they themselves have been programmed. And some of the programming that they have received has been put into them they haven't actually experienced. Do you see? And so some of it is actually real. Some of it is actually fake. And so when this stuff it's all part of the process of diluting the public. So when this stuff starts coming out, and these dear people who have been abused their entire life come out and start sharing their testimony, sometimes some of the memories that they have were programmed. They actually never went to Mars, quote unquote. It was programmed into them. I'm not saying Mars travel does or does not exist. I'm saying that just because someone says it with conviction on the internet doesn't mean it's true. Because some of these people have been so programmed. I've actually had interaction with some people who have been abused their whole life. They've been so programmed that they don't even know when they're telling the truth and when they're not, because their memories have been so whacked. And this isn't my attempt to discount those people. It's my attempt to help increase the discernment in understanding that absolutely the satanic torture methods that you're hearing, absolutely the vast majority of them are true. But at the same time, some of the other details that are coming out, people, events, sights seen, are not necessarily true. And it's all part of the mirage that is being attempted to keep you deluded. And again, please understand, I'm not saying that all of these SRA survivors are all, semi-lying. I'm saying that as a part of the programming that I have researched extensively. A part of it is misprogramming these people straight out of the mouth of Aquino. That's straight out of the mouth of Aquino in my research from 3A, 3B, and 3C of the Khazari Mafia. intentional misprogramming. And so anyone who has gone through the SRA programming, in order to understand which portions are lies and which portions are true, they themselves have to go deeper and deeper and deeper. And the car accident thing that Stacy brought up triggered me, because I have heard testimonies and read testimonies of people who have had similar things happen, where they've, say, gone to a hypnotist for help. And the hypnotist and the person themselves has no idea that the other personalities have been programmed into them. And so the hypnotist, I mean, folks, I've even published some of the testimonies of the hypnotist on my Kazari Mafia. And the hypnotist will go into the person's mind, and this person will walk them to a room, open the door, and there's another person inside their brain that's been locked behind the door of the front person. A lot of times the programmers have a front personality that handles, quote unquote, handles the public. But that front personality doesn't know all the personalities that they're guarding, because they're behind closed doors in their head. I'm not kidding. They program this stuff. And so the front personality thinks they're telling the truth. They're telling the whole story. And then they go in with this hypnotist. The hypnotist walks to them to one of these doors and has them in their mind open the door. And the front person sees a personality they never knew existed inside their freaking mind. And that personality has a whole host of events, of experiences, of abuse that are then communicated to this hypnotist and literally the personality, the person themselves. And without even realizing it, a Pandora's box is opened inside the mind of this SRA victim of all these personalities and people that are inside their head, and they don't even know it. It's true. And so, like I said, this person will go see a hypnotist without even realizing it. That hypnotist will open a door and will open up this entire world that this individual, this dear individual, has no idea exists in there. I read that so many times, that became the common logic. A lot like the person who talks to people who have near-death experiences, and they tell you that it's the same, or they have a similar set of events, frame of events, that 90% of their witnesses have a testimony of. Some type of picture of floating out of the body, seeing a white light, seeing the universe, hearing their friends, seeing people behind that white light, talking to them, calling to them. These are common themes of people who have died. And it's the same kind of thing with the SRA victims. Common themes are, there's a front personality, and there's all these hidden personalities that have been carrying out these horrific deeds without the front person knowing it. I mean, look at the testimony of the guy in California during the Manson murders. And this guy comes out of the wood. He's covered in blood. I cover this in one of the KM videos. He's covered in blood. Covered. And he has no clue what just happened. None. And it isn't until they hypnotize the guy that they're able to find the personality inside his head who carried out the murders. This was the whole Manson thing that would happen in Manson thing. This was when the CIA was testing out their programming. That's what the whole Manson episode was. That's what happened to Charles. He was programmed. And he carried out all the murders and didn't even know it. Or he only had spotted memories of it. Do the research, man. Check it out. It's real. It's true. It's real. And that's often what happens to these abuse victims, because when they're abused, the mind fragments. It fragments into 1,000 pieces, especially if you're female, and especially if you're below the age of 8, especially before puberty. And if you are raped or sexually abused before the age of 8 as a female in this program, I'm telling you, the entire developmental process is stunted. And that individual will fragment into all these other personalities, because the brain cannot absorb the abuse that is happening. And as a self-preservation technique, as a means of saving itself, it's trying to stay sane, the brain, it fragments, portions off the piece of the brain or the portion of the brain that has the memory in it, and shoves it into an area of the brain and literally shuts off the neurons that are around that area. I'm not kidding. This is straight out of the testimony of Kathy O'Brien. And when a person goes into hypnotizing or when they take plant medicines, what happens is you're re-energizing the actual neurons that are blocking the areas of the brain that hold those memories. That's the physiology, the actual physiology. And that's why they can't access the memory, a lot of them. All the memories. They can access some, but some of those areas, it's a shutdown. And this is part of the healing methodology of not only psychoanalysts, but also the work of plant medicines. And their design is to cause there to be a reawakening of the neurons in the brain. Honestly. And it heals because as the dear individual who remembers these horrible things that happened to them, as they remember these things, they begin to, as an adult, begin to be able to digest them, so that those energies are no longer driving their irresponsible behavior. Because a lot of times the people who are crazy are acting in that way because of the energies that are hidden inside their brain with these other personalities that have formed from the abuses that they have suffered. And so the work of the psychoanalyst, the work of the hypnotist, is to be able to open those doors and access those areas gently and allow that person to be able to work through the trauma. This is the work of the SRA counselor, and it is no joke. And I could almost swear I've got actual testimonies of some of these individuals, these counselors, in my KM series videos. If I don't, then I'm misremembering it from some of the research I was doing when I was going to make a part 3 CD, and it was going to be included in that, and the brain function, the alpha waves, the gamma waves, the beta waves, and I did a whole study of that. I just was never able to release it. I ran out of time. Okay, well, great stuff to get me. Are you going to post part 3? My love, it is, or sir or ma'am, it is available on Rumble. You can go to Rumble right now and watch part 3A, 3B, and 3C. They're all there. And you can watch my research on this stuff. I did extensive research on this stuff. Yeah. It is well made. I was abused by stepfather at age 7 and don't remember nothing. I'm just so sorry. I'm just so sorry, Linda. That is what has to stop. That is what has to stop in this new world. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. Yes, she is. She deserves the biggest trophy ever given to anybody. Okay. Okay, I wanted to mention that you are amazing, Marine General. You are amazing. Because you've brought up something that a lot of people miss about Christianity. Okay. According to Mark Passio, Christianity was invented by the Order of the Black Snake, which is a satanic organization that dates back past the Levant. Okay, they've been around. What most people don't realize is, do you understand the way Christianity works is the entire religion is centered around a human sacrifice. You realize that, right? Like the whole religion, the reason why the Christian or the convert is saved in Christianity is because of human sacrifice. You understand that? A human sacrifice is at the center of Christianity. What is it that runs the world since the dawn of time? Human sacrifice, right? Blood money. What is the currency of the elite and has always been the currency of the elite? Ambrosia, children's blood, adrenalized. That's the currency. So what do you think an institution is going to develop when it comes to religion, but a religion that requires blood sacrifice? Hello? Anybody home? Do you realize the center of the satanic religion, which is human sacrifice, is the same center of attention in Christianity. Same. Identical. Human sacrifice. A God that demands sacrifice, blood sacrifice. The same God that demands blood sacrifice in the Old Testament is why there's a blood sacrifice in the New Testament. Hello? Do you realize? Okay. So let's be very, very clear. The central principle of Satanism, human sacrifice, the fulcrum point of realizing Satan is through sacrifice, is the same fulcrum point of Christianity to access their God, human sacrifice. Does everybody understand now? Are we all on the same page? Okay? So let's just be really, really clear. Okay? Just, just have that in the back of your mind. Yeah, what more is there to say? Okay. All right. Now let's move out of that energy and let's get on to Zen. Let's move away from that stuff and let's get on to the good stuff. So let me get to media assets here. Or do you guys have any comments? Do you guys have any comments on that? Looks like Linda sees it. Yeah, you see? You see? Where did you go? Here, you see? Once you see it, I love your labyrinth, by the way. Once you see it, yeah. You see, this was a moment of epiphany for me. This was one of the reasons that really gave me a footing to what am I really believing here when I was still a Christian? It was like, I'm sorry, I don't believe in coincidences. And it just sort of had this moment. A lot of weeks of Zen. We're on page, 60? So we're rolling along. Look at Fortune. Yeah, Fortune nonplussed. Yes, that's what I want to see. Fortune, you should start a band called Nonplussed. I tell you what, that's what we'll call the band. That's what we'll call our band. I'll name my band, the band we're going to form out of chat. We're going to call it Nonplussed. How's that for a band name? I love that name. True that. Is it really, Scott? It's a major reason why I left, brother. It's a major, seriously. It's okay. It doesn't matter when, just that you do. Doesn't matter when, just that you do. Move on to then so much misinformation about. Okay, I'll take your advice, Shan. We're on our way. Media assets. Here we go. We are at the stage. Hang on, before you weren't supposed to see that. Dang it. Okay, we are live. Saturday, February 7th. This is week 16 of Zen. Welcome, everybody. That was a long intro. Sorry, but anytime I start getting carried away about the KM, man, it's hard for me to stop. Okay. So this week, we're going to get into a little bit of, believe it or not, some Zen sacrilege. Are you ready? I am a true iconoclast, and so I will use counter means without apology. So this is what I want to do to get us started. Are you guys ready? We're going to be bringing in, the reason why I say that is that we're going to be talking a little bit about sacred geometry. And as you guys know, Zen is all about the no self. And the whole idea about the no self is that there are no actual things in the world, that everything is a figment of your imagination. And because your mind doesn't exist, therefore anything inside your mind also doesn't exist because it's inside your mind. And since reality is supposed inside the mind, there's some there's some discrepancies when it comes to finding out who you are. And so when it comes to Zen, Zen's position for identity is that there is no self. Whereas with the Tao, sorry, let me turn my phone off so that it stops ringing. My apologies. My apologies. Okay. So that so the methodology in Zen is that there is no self. And sacred geometry points towards things, measurements. Okay, with true Zen Buddhism, there's no such thing as measurements, because what are you measuring? You know, the universe isn't. Why are you trying, into Zen's eyes, why are you trying to find understanding through measurements, Chuck? Because Zen is all about not like the void. To understand the truth of everything, you look past its surface illusion. Surface illusion is measurement. So if I truly want to understand, I must look past measurement, you see. But at the same time, it's measurement that allows our 3D brains to cognize. And it's real important to cognize. It's because the only truth that you can know is what you experience. And I can only experience if there is something to cognize. And so you see there's a contradiction between the no self and the understanding of the universe, because the universe is holism. It's the whole picture, not just void, not just material, not just spirit, not just matter. You see, none of these things can comprise, can hold the universe. So to understand the universe, we must use sacrilege in both the Christian sense as well as the Zen sense, because we're in a wonder. And the Western sense of the world cannot completely contain the world, and neither can the East. So even when Zen comes along and says there's no self, there's the void, and at the same time, though, the void is formless. And without form, how can you have a void? How can you have void if formlessness is the base? Do you see? There's contradictions. It doesn't matter if you go west or east, there's contradictions. And so the reason why I'm starting out today's Zen with sacrilege is because it's the first time we're going to use some really strong contradiction going directly against the laws of Zen, so that we can better understand it in the same way that we say and talk about God, even though the term God is a misnomer, because God doesn't fit in the term God. Do you see? God doesn't fit in a term. God doesn't fit in a word. But yet here we're talking about God. We're talking about the Tao. We're talking about flow. We're talking about ultimate reality. We're talking about void. You see? So get used to, that's my point here, get used to it. Get used to contradiction flowing through your ontology left and right, because it's not complicated enough if it doesn't have some contradiction. Your ontology, your existentialism must have portions of contradiction, or they're just simply not complicated enough. Because the world, life, existence is a wonder. And what is inside a wonder? Contradiction. That's part of the reason why it's a wonder. So don't get afraid. Don't freak out. And don't think, Chuck, how dare you be sacrilegious against Zen? How can you do that? Please, it's the same thing with Christianity. These are just institutions, philosophies, ideas, concepts, conjectures. That's what these are. And it is through philosophizing and conjecture and observing the contradictions, the truths, the absolutes, the non-finite. It's by observing and engaging and realizing all of it that we have deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper understanding. Okay? There you go. No rules. So what I want you to look at right now is something that comes out of sacred geometry. And I'm going to be off the screen for a minute. We're going to remove my logo for a minute. Okay. And I want you guys to look right at the center. Focus your eyes right now, right on the center. This is important that you see this. I want you to look right at the center, and what you're going to find out and what you're going to start to see. Do you see the circles that pulsate out of the center. Do you see them pulsating? Do you see the rainbow colors? That's a little bit more subtle, a little bit more sensitivity required for that. Do you see it? You see the rainbow? Do you see the flashing lines coming off the outside of the circle on the outside perimeter? Do you see those also? Keep looking, they'll appear to you. Do you see the white lines passing through the spirals? This is sacred geometry. That's a sacred geometry spiral you're looking at. That's not just circles on top of each other. Those are spirals. Okay? Do you see it now? Okay? You see? Okay, the reason why, add to stage, and get rid of this. And here. Sorry. Here, add to stage. Okay. The reason why I'm showing you that is I want you to see the universe coming out of this flat 2D dimension or drawing. Can you see how it itself becomes, in the self-organizing patterns begin to form those invisible circles from the contingencies of where the lines intersect? And how your eye automatically begins to form color and form out of this set of spirals, none of which repeat the other, meaning they're each an individual location on the picture. And do you see how do you see how the profundity is just coming out of it? Do you see it? You can't stop it. Like, you can look at it and you can't stop it. Okay? What I want you to get from this is, do you see the spirituality within the form itself? This is going to begin to help you not hate material. Do you see how the spiral comes alive? And by seeing it come alive like that, you are awakened to a deeper dimension right there, just observing the material world, just observing the material spiral. Do you see that? It comes alive. It is of itself so. There's nothing needed to impinge to bring it to life. It comes alive just being there. And this is exactly what symbolism is. This is exactly why I fill my Saturdays so often with all kinds of symbolism. In the same way, this spiral is symbolizing a deeper principle hidden behind and within those lines. You see, it's the same thing with the metaphors. The deeper truths and principles that come out of what? The words. And as we all know, words are inadequate. But yet, you see it. The lines, think of these lines the same as letters of a word. You see the profundity, you see the truth within the lines, within the patterns that you observe. And this is truth. And this is how you can see, even in the Zen state, you can see truth even within the material, illusory world that the hardcore Buddhist says doesn't exist. Because it doesn't. But yet, it renders it to you. It renders that truth to you. This is another reason why it's a bad idea to rid or kill the ego. It's a tool. It's a tool. Don't get entangled with it. Don't get dependent on it. It's a tool. Follow now? That's a tool right there. That right there is a tool. And it's a tool because it shows you a deeper principle. It shows you patterns. It shows you the hidden resonance behind the world. The exact same technique that the Zen Buddhist is attempting by offering you the picture of the void. It's the same puzzle. One has a board, the other one doesn't. One can be seen, the other one doesn't. Yet, in their metaphor, they emanate the truth. They emanate the deeper principle. And it is by seeing this that you free yourself, friend. The idea in Zen is detangling you from the illusory, tangible material world. In my opinion, it isn't to deny it, because Zen accepts readily the Tao. And as we know, the Tao is both verb and subject. It's called flow. Do you see? And when you are within the flow, what happens? Clarity. Experience brings you truth. And so in this way, you and I today, throughout the last few weeks, we are finding out that there is an even deeper principle past the principle of the void. And that principle is both. Both. You see? And this is the role, and you guys we're going to find this out as we study Zen. This is the role of the Bodhisattva. The Bodhisattva is experiencing their nirvana by amalgamating with flow, by amalgamating with those that are still lost. And it is through teaching them and experiencing enlightenment with and through them, you see, that the Bodhisattva is at, in some senses, an even deeper level, an even deeper sense than even the Buddhist. And this is why I think Alan was so obsessed with Zen, because it's teasing this no self from Buddhism, hardcore Theravada Buddhism, right? And it is also teaching this Mahayana principle, which integrates both this non-self as well as the form, which is what? The Tao. Because the Tao is an emulation of density. And what is density? Density is spirit. What composes the universe? Spirit. Density. This is why it is inappropriate to take any position finally. You follow that? Are you following that? It is inappropriate to take any position finally because you're in a wonder. How many times I said this? You're in a wonder. And deciding, finalizing is inappropriate. To find understanding, to truly know, there is integration, not nihilism, not denial, not numbing yourself with pleasure. Integration, fully accepting the pain, fully accepting the pleasure, and not giving either one the plussed attitude, staying nonplussed in the middle way. You see? This is the deeper principle. Let's look at our first slide here. Hang on, let me get the thing up. Here. Void nitty-gritty. Boy, that's a good introduction. That came together better than I thought it would. Okay, it has long been understood that the truth is derived through patterns. See, look at the pattern, top right. See the pole? See the poles? Positive and negative. See how the flints align to that invisible energy in the same type of way as they do in the spiral. You see? Truth is derived through patterns. Science substantiates its laws by pattern gathering and observation. Rupert Sheldrake likes to call naturally forming patterns nature's habits. These habits are a form of self-organization. I mean, what are you looking at right here, folks? They organize into patterns whose intrinsic blueprint is sacred geometry. See, that's sacrilege. According to Zen, there is no geometry. You see? Or according to Buddhism, there is no geometry there. You see? This is why it's important. This is why go back and watch the Rosicrucian series. You will find out all the opposite end, the other end of the spectrum of Zen. Which is amazing how that came together. I didn't plan any of that, but that's the way it came together. And so you can go through the Rosicrucian system and you can see all of the actual illusory physical patterns that nature renders to you to show you this deeper truth. And so instead of going through means of the void, you see, you're going through means of observation, contemplating the deeper puzzles rather than contemplating the void. Do you see? All of these are means and ways, people. All of them are means and ways. There's no rules. Remember, there are no rules. There's no hard and fast rules. You're in a wonder. There are principles and laws of nature, but there's no rules. There's no rules. And you guys know this, nature breaks all the rules. I mean, look at a black hole. Nature follows none of the thermodynamic principles, just says to heck with all that shit and throws it down the toilet. There's your black hole right there in front of you, brother. Right there in front of you. Throwing all the rules away, throwing all the laws away. You see, this is natural. This is nature. Nature is a rebel. Nature doesn't follow orders. You're a nature creature. Do you follow orders? Nature doesn't follow the rules. Nature doesn't get in line. No. No, nature's a free enterprise. And so, back here again, we have this thing called sacred geometry, which amazingly maps the patterns of nature. Why nature forms into these patterns is unknown. Some people say it is spirit that navigates nature into sacred geometry. Others, like Zen Buddhists, say no thing does. You see, the no thing is not void. You see, there is a Sanskrit concept called sunyata, and it means roughly void. Sunyata or sunyata is a fundamental principle in Buddhism, Zen, and it dates back to the dawn of human writing, meaning we humans have known about void for a very long time. Make no mistake, folks. One of the big reasons why they keep the void from you is because it's another deeper principle of what actually is the universe. Void is fundamentally the realization that all phenomena lack inherent, independent existence. Everything arises interdependently through causes and conditions without a fixed essence or cognizable oversight. Void is and is not nothingness. No thingness. You follow? Void is, here's your contradiction, is and is not no thingness. That's even a double negative. No thingness, a dynamic openness. Doesn't that make sense? A dynamic openness would include closeness, would it not? Both. Or potential. Open and closed, that's potential. Or connectedness, open and closed circuit, right? That underlies apparently light. And there it is right there in front of you, as I was just describing. It's both. It's neither. The universe. It's both. All and not, and no words. It's both. Words and no words. Reality and illusion. It's both. Is it not? Look, all the world, is it not an illusion? At the same time, reality? Because I mean, look, I'm tapping on it right now. It seems real, but it's not. It's not. It's just this wood is moving so fast, vibrating so fast, I can't pass my hand through it. But it gives this incredible illusion of solid. You know, my face gives this incredible illusion of actuality. But it's all in the mind. All the entire experience is not, even my feeling my face, even feeling the air, feeling the dust, it's all in the mind, you see. It's there. Now you see it, now you don't. And you see how that's different layers and different planes. It means different things in different layers, different dimensions, you see. This is how we find the deeper essence here. We conceptualize void by the patterns it leaves in its wake. Sacred geometry contrasts the non-existent mind. There it is again. Contrasts the non-existent mind. These inevitable, invisible arsenals of patterns serve as metaphorical sublimations of void. There it is. They are what characterize to observe it. You see, your personality, your character traits, your emotions, your outbursts, your interests. You see, these characterize you so that you can be experienced. So that you can be experienced. Water characterizes wet so that water can be experienced. Wind, you can't see it, but you can experience it because you feel it. See? Do you see? We are in a wonder. Okay. We conceptualize void by the patterns it leaves in its wake. Sacred geometry contrasts the non-existent mind. These inevitable, invisible arsenals of patterns serve as metaphorical sublimations of void. They are what characterize it to observe it. But characterization implies something, and void is no thing. There's your contradiction. Next page. Void nitty-gritty, continuing. We'll get to the pro tip in a minute. Invisibility and potentiality. Void is often linked to an unseen ground or matrix from which forms emerge. From nothing for no reason. There it is. The basis of the Big Bang. Similar to space, allowing objects to appear, or a blank canvas enabling a painting. Patterns capture the idea of an intangible, non-substantial framework that's always present. This is so good, but not graspable. There it is in writing for you. Patterns capture the idea of an intangible, non-substantial framework that's always present, but not graspable. And there it is. Bam. Do you see the framework inside that circle as you look at it? It's coming at you. Do you see the pulsing lines? It's coming at you. There's the framework. It's coming right at you, friend. It's right there. Right there for you to see and experience. Void is filled of connections and possibilities. That's pure sacrilege right there. That is pure Zen sacrilege. Void is filled of connections and possibilities, yet is empty of form. In fact, emptiness is the form. That's why illusion is the reality. Do you follow? Same pattern there. There's your truth. Emptiness is form. Relational interdependence as a pattern. Sunyata emphasizes dependent origination. This is the idea that everything grows. Everything grows. The plant grows out of the soil as it's dependent on the soil and the light for energy, the soil for nutrients, the light for power, energy. And these grow together. The soil, the rhizosphere complexifies. The sun rises and sets. And these dynamisms that grow and die and live on are what compose the plant. Do you follow? The death of light and the rebirth of light and the consistency of minerals in the soil. This brings about the profundity called a plant. And it couldn't be around without both light and soil because they mutually arise together. Do you follow? Guys, this should make it crystal clear. Okay. This is so awesome. I love doing this because it's beyond Zen. It's beyond religion. It's beyond the finites that all of us have been abused with our whole life. We are reaching through. We are penetrating the membrane. Continuing. Okay. Where everything exists as a web of relationships. Yeah, relations, much like a pattern of interconnected functions or processes rather than isolated substances. And there you go. I mean, again, here it is. Again, there it is. Just described it. Okay. Alan Watts described this as a field of related functions. Now look at the examples I gave you down here below, guys. A field of related functions, experiential rather than theoretical, echoing how Western science views relational dynamics. This is how you see through the veil, people. Right now, you're doing it. The pattern itself isn't visible in a tangible sense because it's empty. Follow. Empty of isolated self-nature. These things mutually arise. There's no isolation. There's no separation. Self-nature is the density. What do we know about density? That's the spirit. That's what is reality. The density that manifests as phenomena without being a thing itself. And look at all of these patterns and processes and interconnected functions. I mean, look at them, people. Look at them. Sacred geometry. Look, the Platonic solids, same as on my symbol right there at the top here. Yeah, Platonic solids. Yin and yang. The human mind. There's Monet, a bumblebee, the universe, Metatron's cube, the one in the the one next to where it says pro tip. Pro tip. Here we go. Follow the pro. What just happened? Sorry. Pro tip. The inability to grasp void, have you ever thought of this, is grace. Have you ever thought of that? Is grace. Here, hang on a minute. I can't read the center because of the little thing that's on there. Hang on. There we go. Here. You live in an inexhaustible wonder. Think of how empty life would be if you could solve it or never died. Have you thought about that? Think of how empty life would be if you could solve it, meaning you had the answers. How empty of an existence would that be? Or you never died, because to know death, I must know, to know life, I must know death. Do you see the self-organizing right there in what I just said? Think of how empty life would be if you could solve it or never died. Do you see the deeper principle at work? This is why you die, so that you have the experience of death, so that you know what it means to live. This is why there's such profundity as you get closer and closer to your end, because you're realizing death. It was the gift that cancer gave me. It helped me cognize death, and this awakened my world, awakened my slumbering mind that was caught up in the egregores. This is why life is like this, folks. This is why you live in an inexhaustible wonder, because it would be so horrible if you could solve it. And what do I talk about every week here? We grow. What happens if you stop growing? You stagnate. What happens when you stagnate? You get a disease and you get sick and you die. Straight out of the mouth of my naturopathic doctor. Stagnancy causes disease. That's why you live your whole life, folks. I'm giving it right to you on the front here. That's why you live your whole life through experience. Meaning the only truth you will ever know is through experience. So to live in this idea that everything is an illusion and should be surpassed in the sense that it doesn't exist, you see how you separate yourself from truth. Because it is through the patterns, it is through the experiencing of the illusion that I find the truth. Because the truth doesn't fit into words. So how are you going to know it unless you experience? How am I going to have experience unless I have contrast? How do I have contrast unless I have dualism? There's the deeper insight. Dualism is to be integrated, just like the Bodhisattva integrates the fact that they are going to be in the world, the endless round of samsara, and they are in bliss. Why are they in bliss? Because they are participating in the profundity, my friend. They are participating in it. We're going to get right into it. I'm giving you the prelude right now by telling you this stuff on the front end, but that is why the Bodhisattva has transcended even the nirvana state. And I mean, Alan even talks about it in his book. Has transcended it. Has transcended the wheel. Continuing. Add to space. So we got that one done next. Okay, so let me get a better picture of this so you guys can see the picture I want you to see. Okay, so spirit is density. This is what I was pointing to in this slide here, where I have this density. Self-nature is the density that manifests as phenomena. In other words, all phenomena that you see is spirit. How's that to help you ground, right? All that you observe is spirit, okay? That is because spirit is density, as I outlined in my Nature as Identity series, which is what this comes from. Spirit is density, matter is effect. Reality is the illusion created by the intermingling of density and effect. You are in a wonder because you are intermingling with spirit and effect. Can spirit be fully tangible? Is spirit fully tangible? No, it's not. Matter's tangible. I can hold it. I can see it, smell it, taste it. It's tangible, right? But what actually composes matter? Density. Spirit. You are in a wonder. And that is why, my friend, that is why exactly killing the ego, checking out in as ascetic, checking out in some religion is going to make you sick. It's going to make you sick because you are a wonder in a wonder. And if you start taking medication that limits your world, that limits your perception, you will develop stagnancy, and that will make you sick. The whole point of life is self-development, growth, growing, becoming, integrating. That's the whole point. And when you stop, if you stop doing that, you will become sick, you will become stagnated, just like the fanatic. The fanatic, the person who cannot hear anything but their own voice, has become completely self-consumed. Can you see it? And they stagnate because they're filled with their own ideas, their own mind, stuck on themselves. And so they're sick. That's why they're a fanatic. That's why they're freaking out and telling other people, if you don't think like I do, believe like I do, you're an a-hole or whatever the case may be. They think inhumane like that because their stagnancy is removing their humanness. Because to be human, I grow. A dead human doesn't grow anymore. That's called no growth. That's called a dead person. They don't grow anymore. If I want to stay alive, if I want to stay relevant, I must stay within a growing world. And that right there is all the ammunition you will ever need to leave any religion or belief system. Because any end-all, be-all answer system is a dead system. And if you partake in death, you will die. If you drink that information, it will make you sick. Stagnancy begets disease. Never forget that. Those are the exact words of my nature path. Stagnancy begets disease, and it can't be any other way. So if you are stuck in science, stuck in religion, you are sick. You are sick because you cannot integrate a larger reality. This means you integrate the idea, the thought that science doesn't have all the answers. How about that? How about them apples? Religion doesn't have all the answers. How about that? Theology, Orthodox, doesn't have all the answers. Not even close, actually. Does science have all the answers? No. They have no idea where the universe came from, because as far as they're concerned, it came from nothing for no reason. Science doesn't know. Science doesn't know. God can't be described in words. Do you think religion works? Do you think religion has the end all be all? The entire thing is words. The entire thing is belief. Do you think they really got a clue? This is the common sense pragmatism that's going to free you, my friend. It's the common sense pragmatism that is going to open your mind and open your world. Continuing to the next slide. And again, I had this here just to render density, just to render the density that we studied in my nature series. Okay, where's the next slide here? Continuing. Emptiness forms the vehicle. Now, this is introduction to part 3 or chapter 3 from Alan. Now let's first consider Theravada and Mahayana Buddhism. Now, Theravada Buddhism has the misnomer name called Hinayana Buddhism. Now, a hina is a little vessel, and a hina is a small, and a yana is a vessel, and a Mahayana is a large vessel or great vessel. That's what those means. Hinayana, Mahayana, and Mahayana. And the reason why it's a degrading term, meaning those that practice Theravada Hinayana Buddhism consider it like calling San Francisco Frisco. It's a put down. Hinayana is in other words, when you say Hinayana Buddhism, you're saying this is for the small mind. This is the small vessel. In other words, it's the smaller concept. The Mahayana is the great concept, the great vessel. Okay. And so actually, according to what I've been reading for the last few weeks, calling it the Hinayana is actually a little bit of a put down, because you're saying that's for the small mind. It's for the people that don't understand you can't stop desiring to desire. That basic principle is what basically set Alan to abandon Buddhism. And that's what Buddhism is asking, desire not to desire. That's at the core of it. And so the Hinayana, the small mind, will work on that. And they will work on trying not to desire. So I'm going to desire not to desire. So I've got to stop desiring, but then that's a desire that I'm desiring. You see, I'm backwards. I'm on the small ship. I'm on the Hinayana. I'm on the little vessel. And so it's for small mind. And the small mind thinks, if I desire not to desire, I'm there. I've reached it. And you haven't. That's the smaller picture. The larger picture is desiring not to desire is a desire, friend. You're caught in yourself. The Mahayana, the larger picture, the larger mind sees that smaller world in the same way the person who releases themselves from religion realizes the small world that religion is in. It's a Hinayana. It's a Hinayana. It's a smaller version of the larger world, and it's for smaller minds because small minds are satisfied in small worlds. That's how it works. So a person who is satisfied with finite, with absolutes, with end all be all, that's it and nothing else. Okay, that's a very small-minded person. And you will know that just by talking to them. The person that comes to you and says that I believe right, I got the right science, I got the right God, right there on the front end without their even intending to, they're telling you they're small-minded. Right on the front end. The pastor on Sunday, when he says, this book is the way, truth, and life, and this is the only way to God, right there, the pastor's telling you, everyone, I want you to know, I have a very small mind, because the only world I can conceptualize is the one that was handed to me in this book. That's the only world I got, brother. In other words, my personal experience is irrelevant. The truth is only found in this book. In other words, the truth is only found in letters, in words. Just how big is that mind? Common sense pragmatism will tell you that's a very small-minded individual. They think they've got it figured out, and it's really sad. You see, and it's the loving, compassionate person who will see that and will have compassion rather than hatred for that person. You see, and this is the bodhisattva. The bodhisattva sees that individual caught in their own mind and has compassion for them in the same way if you're on a trail and you see a little baby deer caught in a trap. You have compassion for it. You're going to free that little deer. This is the picture of the bodhisattva. They've realized it, man. They see it. They see how humanity has been caught in egregores. They see how humanity has been caught up in the idea that they're sinful. They see how humanity has been caught up in the idea that they're a dirty carbon generator. They see how the world has been caught up with this idea that we all hate each other, and that innate at the human being core is hate, not love. And so you leave a person to their own devices, they will grow up to be a bigot, a racist, and a hater. The world people have been programmed to think that about humanity. And the bodhisattva sees that, doesn't get caught in it, doesn't get entangled into those racist beliefs, into those wrong, finite, absolute beliefs about a wonder. And the bodhisattva doesn't mock that person. The bodhisattva has compassion for them and says, friend, the world is bigger than you're looking. And if you just consider some of these concepts that I've got for you, that I can suggest, it just might free you. What higher role, what higher calling could there be than to freeing the trapped individual? What higher role could there be? You see, and this is why the bodhisattva is so convicting in its sense, because it reaches to the compassion, the love, the humanness that every single one of us has inside of us. And it shows you the bigger picture and the appropriate response to that picture. Okay, continue with the slide here. All right, in chapter 3, oh yeah, we were looking at the Mahayana and Theravada. So then in the dictionary, we see that the conservative view of Buddhism is this Theravada. And it's, now look at the small writing I have here. It's individual determination. So this is the person who's trying. This is the ascetic. The ascetic is practicing Theravada Buddhism because the ascetic is attempting to realize nirvana through their own means and ways, whereas the bodhisattva is realizing it through the rapture of experiencing that enlightenment with another. It's a little different perspective. It's traditional. You see on the right over here under radical with Mahayana, it's based on capacity. So if I am practicing in Theravada Buddhism, I'm following and memorizing the traditions, and I obey the traditions. I fall in line. I follow the orders. Whereas in the radical side the radical side of Mahayana, it's capacity. It goes according to your growth rate. That's what that's saying. So instead of diligently following a set of guidelines and rules, you're diligently following your own growth, your own experience. That's a big deal between these two, radical and conservative. And it's your diligence here that counts in this conservative side, but it's your experience that counts on the radical side. Do you see how that's a little different way to go about it? Do you see? Diligence in memorizing those verses is going to save the Christian because they're following the belief and they're obeying. Diligence, obedience. Get in line, follow orders, do as you're told. Okay? I'm comparing and contrasting so it's so clear to you. Whereas it's the experiential individual in the Mahayana. The experience is what teaches you the deeper truth. I can't learn truth through words. I can't learn truth through obedience. I learn it through experience, thinking for myself, gathering ideas that are bigger than the one idea. Like tonight, what I'm doing for you today, I'm offering you sacrilegious Zen in an attempt to offer you a bigger picture than just what Theravada, Mahayana, Buddhism, and Zen can offer you, than what the Tao can offer you. Do you see? This is the method to my madness. And so here we see it is the experience that counts in the radical individual, the one that's practicing the Mahayana. And then it is rigor that counts in the conservative view, but it's your IQ. Here's where it gets a little bit edgy. Not quite as fair for everyone, because not everybody is as smart as everybody else. We all got different levels of intelligence. I mean, nobody can deny that. Some people are quicker than others. And what's so beautiful is Mahayana or Zen Buddhism is caters or is respectful for that. It doesn't just give you a list. So the ones that are not aware and the ones that are fully aware, they all read the same list. Whereas with the Mahayana approach, the Zen approach, right, we're all on different lists because we're all in a different space in this profundity. And it's going to be the one that's a bit more clued in, that has a few more French fries in their Happy Meal, that's going to be able to see things a little bit more clearer. They're working with a bigger meal. They're working with more. They have more substance there to be able to decipher the puzzle that we're in. And so Mahayana says, okay, no problem, brother. We will go right along with that with experience and IQ. And then we're going to base that on your humanness, whereas it's complying that the conservative is doing here. It's not based on your humanness, because that would put you into the measure. It's not about your measure. It's about the measure of the discipline. It's the measure of the discipline that counts. So you're going to comply, conservative, top right there under Theravada. You comply. Whereas you base with this other radical side on your humanness, on the heart. The integrity, the love, the compassion that is in the heart that you're born with. Nobody gives it to you. You're born with it. It's called being a human. It's called having human characteristics. That's why these Satanists are further and further away from being human, because they are not living and behaving in a way that is humane. And the further and further humane, non-humane your behaviors become, the less human you are. Common sense. Yogi Berra. The less humane your behaviors, the less humane you are. Common sense, pragmatic logic here, folks, is what's going to help you every time. And so what we are honoring here is the humaneness in this Mahayana. In chapter 3, Alan explores the development and core principles of Mahayana Buddhism. And just to emphasize humane, what is the ascetic practicing? Theravada. Theravada. That's their practicing. Self-consumption. It's all about their enlightenment. Them getting there. That's the focus. Follow the rules, obey the demands of the Theravada. Do as you're told. You see, and the Mahayana Buddhism, the Mahayana side, is a larger picture. It's a larger. You don't follow the rules. You follow the patterns. You follow the Tao. You follow the flow, which you can't follow. You see, that's the puzzle. It's instinct. It comes out of you, like Parsifal with the horse. The horse leads the individual in the subconscious world. So Parsifal releases the reins. And this is exactly what's happening in the Mahayana. Rather than grabbing the reins of control and duty and form and memory, right? I'm letting go. I'm letting go. And what's the appropriate way to live life? Let go. Let go. Stop following the rules. Stop obeying. Stop it. Stop doing as you're told. Start thinking for yourself. Let go. Okay? This is all related. Okay. In chapter 3, Alan explores the development and core principles of Mahayana Buddhism. He contrasts the discipline with the earlier Hinayana tradition of the Pali Canon. That's the orthodoxy, the Pali Canon. That's the orthodoxy underlining the Hinayana, the small mind. Mahayana arose not from mere metaphysical speculation, but to address practical, psychological challenges in achieving liberation. What have I been doing for the last, how long we've been going? Oh my God, we've been going an hour and a half. For the last hour and a half, what have I been doing? Right? Exactly that. It emphasizes the bodhisattva ideal, where advanced practitioners dissolve their own nirvana into compassion for others, recognizing that nirvana and samsara, the cycle of birth and death, are inseparable. Seeking nirvana as a separate goal perpetuates ego illusion. What is the ascetic doing? Exactly what the Buddha said he was doing, seeking nirvana as a separate goal, perpetuating their own ego illusion. And look where the arrow points. The giving of one self away to others is equated to death. Do you follow that? What is the bodhisattva doing? The giving away of oneself to others is equated to death, or the losing of one's mind. Is it not? Has not my old mind died when I've lost it and I have new mind? How do I get new mind? I lose my old mind. You follow the metaphor? Giving oneself away, that's a form of death, my friend. Kenosis. Giving oneself away to others is equated to death. What is the bodhisattva doing? He's giving himself away. He's participating in death to realize life, my friend. Mind being, giving away of one's mind being desires, the must-haves, the absolutes, the cravings. What is the common theme we are seeing, my friend? It's not the dissolving of the ego. It's the giving of that to another. The giving of your compassion, your will, your care to another, to the benefit of another. Folks, this enlightens you. This triggers awareness. This triggers a deeper sense because you're doing something that is beyond what is being observed. You are seeing the deeper sense of that individual, that animal, whatever, that is lost. You've seen it in yourself, and that is why you can see yourself, their pain, yourself in another. This is the key to relations. This is the key to understanding. And what is so interesting is it's a very similar recognition in the Zen Buddhist as it is in the individual that understands their identity is not something that can be put into words. These are similar identifying principles. Do you see that? The giving of oneself away, the not being able to know oneself. These are, do you see how they're intangibles when they're juxtaposed with each other? You see, and this leads to that deeper principle, that nirvana, which is the experience of the awakening of oneself and others. And I experience an awakening of myself when I see that principle in another awakened. When I see myself in another awakened in the same way that I awakened. Do you see it, folks? By seeing it through the words I'm telling you right now, you will begin to align to this deeper principle, because it's not about following orders. It's about amalgamating into the deeper principle. And I'm trying to show you that deeper principle, but I can only use words and the action, obviously, of doing these shows. But this is to show you, without words, what is going to bring you bliss. Do you see? Let's go to questions. Let's remember the slide that we're on. Okay, let's go to questions. Let's see what you guys have. There are 500 questions. Holy shit. Okay. Incredible. So glad you guys are eating it up, man. You guys are going all in. This is fantastic. Okay, do you guys have any questions? I know this is really deep concepts here. And I know it's been full tilt since I started. I understand that. So if you got any questions, let me know. Let me help clarify anything that isn't clear to you guys. Yeah, you have. And it very well may be the case, Mel, where you guys just haven't been paying attention to me, which might be the truth. And that's okay. It's just that you're here. That's fantastic. Okay, here, what do we got here? Hi, Don. Hey, buddy, thanks for being at Zoom. It was great seeing you. Chuck. Mentally hover above this earth realm, observing all, but learning from experience and trusting gut mind. Yes. Fully present, but not entangled. You see? That's that hovering you're talking about, Dawn. That's good. That's good. Present, right there, observing. That's putting your intention into the world. Is observing it. Learning from experience and trusting the gut mind. Exactly. And that experience shows you the truth. And that truth will show you that the gut mind is ultimate truth. Dawn, you're on it. Put questions in caps. Put your questions in caps. Here. Thanks, King. Put questions in caps. Here we go. Caps here. Nobody's in caps. So it looks like you guys are good. Are you guys good? And I'm glad you guys are hanging out and having a great time. Yes, there's no hierarchy, Shan. You're exactly right, Shan. You're exactly right. We are part and parcel of the energy that forms the universe. Okay? We are expressions of that energy. The dogs and cats that people have are expressions of that energy. Everything is an expression of that wonder, of the wonder. And these, what we observe, what we experience, are just profundities within the water, within the wonder. Is the body. I might want to write that again, Bill. Try again. Are you asking about Sophia? That's a Gnostic term. They believe in the pleroma, and they believe that the energies, the aeons that fill the pleroma are the milky white color that you see. And the theory in Gnosticism is that Sophia, or Sophia, depending on how you pronounce it, John Lamb Lash pronounces it Sophia. But Sophia fell out of the pleroma, the milky white center of the universe. When you look at the center of galaxies and you see that milky white color or essence, the theory in Gnosticism is that those are aeons, the characteristics, the manifestations of the Godhead. And the idea is that Sophia fell out of the pleroma and became the earth. And so the earth, in the Gnostic view, in this Sophia view, is Sophia. The earth is Sophia, is the aeon that fell out of the pleroma and became the earth. And that's why this idea that the earth is a growing institution in Gnosticism, that's where that's coming out of. Because the aeon is a wellspring. The aeon is profundity in action. It is the wonderment in full career. And so there's a constant outpouring from an aeon. And so they are the reason why, in the Gnostics' view, they're in the center of the galaxy, because it's the outpouring of the aeons that bring about the galaxies which compose the universe. That's what that's about. Yeah, we are source. I completely 100% agree, King Chuck. Now that we have the information, and I've had it for a while now, for those of us, it's been awake. For those of us, it's been awake for a little bit. What do we do about it? You shine your light to others. You shine your light to others. You model the human exemplar. And what is the human exemplar? This is a person who is reigned by compassion, and they are led by the heart. Your heart will tell you what to do, Mel, when you place these kinds of things in your mind for meditation. There are two types of meditation. There's the meditation, which is the release of all things and the losing of the mind. And then there is the meditation, which is the creativity, the contemplation, which is your gift as a human being. The reason why you build skyscrapers and build cities and lives and profundity is because you have creativity, the most powerful force in the universe. Creativity can create anything, including a universe. And so that force is in you. And so by utilizing your creative force, your compassion, your love, your heart, these will guide you. They will guide you into what the appropriate behavior is. When you put those as your telos, those as your ultimate reality to experience is that of compassion, love, outreach, saving and loving others, this kind of thing. If that is your center point, everything that constellates out of that setting is going to be what you do about it. Okay. Next question. Yes. Keep learning. Yes. I love learning. Yes. Compassion. Yes. So good. Love you guys. Yes. Stacy. No. Yes. 100%. Be the goodness you want to see in the world. What's the phrase, guys? You know the phrase? Everything you put out into the world comes back at you. You guys know that. I mean, that's basic idea of karma, that the energy, the mentality, the what I put into the world is what comes back, friend. That's why these folks that have YouTube shows and they're angry and they're yelling and they're negative and they're putting people down, that's why when you watch them, you have those kind of feelings of like, yuck. I don't want to be a person like that. I don't want to be filled with hate and retribution, you know, and it's the same with you. If you want to experience love, you love others. If you want to experience compassion, show compassion to others. Play it forward. Honestly, Stacy, you nailed it. I mean, that's it. Be the world you want to experience, because the only world you're going to experience is the one you make, friend. Attitude, perception is everything. The larger I perceive the world, the more I can integrate the world. Because I'm filled with creativity, I'm filled with compassion, I integrate. I am the Tao. I go with the flow. This is you, friend. This is you. This is you. Yes, exactly. 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 Good idea there, Mel. Very good. Change of subject here. Hi, Verbo. What's going on, buddy? Chuck, do you think the Epstein file devils take such a casual attitude towards their criminal torture, rape, and death of children? It's because they know there is no death? No. Actually, believe it or not, friend, they actually are pretty afraid of dying. I don't know if you know that, but these Satanists, that's why they're obsessed with living forever. That's why they're obsessed with youthifying themselves by getting those blood transfusions from children. They're obsessed with de-aging. It's not because they know there's no death. It is because the reason why they have the casual attitude is because it has been destroyed. Sorry, I'll remove your question so I can answer better. It's because they have been destroyed with their programming. Remember how I said, even at the beginning of this video, and if you watch my God Eaters Part 3A, I opened the whole video talking about how the mind has been programmed in these satanic individuals. Now follow the pattern. If I'm born in a satanic family, and often they are satanic, the families are satanic. If I am born into a satanic family, most likely my parents, who are Satanists, they will turn me over to molesters and torturers when I'm still an infant. In fact, while I'm still in my mother's tummy, they will do things to traumatize the child in the tummy. So they'll play all kinds of really loud music and yelling and screaming. They'll strike the stomach of the mother so that they can begin the abuse profile that they want to form as soon as the child births, as soon as the child comes out. Because they're going to begin the torture rituals the moment the baby comes out of the mother's womb, and even before, obviously. Okay, so these individuals have been raised like that, so that by the time they get to age 10, 12, 13, and the hormones kick in, they take all of that abuse and torture that they learned as a child and simply integrate it into their adult lifestyle. In other words, their sensitivity, their discernment, their care, their sensitivity has been destroyed with materialism and torture and blood. And they are completely addicted to drugs, to numbing themselves to this other world of material pleasure and consumption. That's the data stream they're on. And so when it comes to torturing children and others, they don't see us as human. They see us as goy. They see us as cattle. They don't see you as a sovereign being like they see themselves. They see themselves as sovereign being born into this hierarchy, so it is their divine right to behave like this. And so the compassion, the empathy has been destroyed in these individuals. Destroyed. Through abuse and ritual. From the time, literally, from before they're even born, they're being programmed. And so, yeah, by the time you get to be a teenager and then finally in your 20s and 30s, imagine a person like this in their 50s. You're a monster. A pure devil. A pure demon. Nothing caught. You actually enjoy and laugh at the torturing of children. Did you guys ever see that video with he was the dude that ran the campaign for Hillary? What was his name? The guy was bald and he's got the glasses and the long nose. What is his name? What is his name? Podesta. I didn't see it yet, but Podesta. Okay. Did you guys ever hear that video where he's in a shower with a child and he's spraying hot water from the shower head, boiling hot water from the shower head on the child and demanding that the child call him dad? Saying to the child, I am your father, and I want you to say that I am your father. This is programming that you're hearing. He's saying to the child while he's torturing the child, I want you to call me your dad. I am your dad. I'm your father. Now say it to me. Say that I'm your father. This is programming. This is how they do it. They ritually abuse so that while they are abusing, in the act of abusing the child, they're laughing at them, mocking them, and putting programming into them. So while they are molesting them, they're laughing at them, they're degrading them. And this destroys their mind. Totally destroys their mind. Imagine if it were you. Your mind would be destroyed. There's no compassion there anymore. They've destroyed it through humiliation and mockery. They've destroyed all compassion. So these people that you see in these Epstein files, and when they're talking and laughing about the abuses and stuff they're going to be doing in code, they truly feel and think that way. They're not just doing it as a joke. They actually are happy about abuse and talking about it. They're happy. They love it. They don't see us as humans. They see us as goy. They see us as cattle. And until you understand that completely, you will continue to see their behavior and ask yourself, why are they acting like that? You will no longer ask yourself why they're acting like that once you realize what they've done. This is why exposure is so important. Until people know this, until they actually know how governments have been run for thousands of years, they won't believe it. And they'll stay in the smaller world. They'll stay in the smaller mind. They'll stay in the egregore, and they will never leave. They'll fight to stay in it, just like the sinner fights to stay a sinner. They fight to stay in the abuse. And for all the Christians that can't see this stuff, I mean, you yourself are in it right now because you think you're a sinner. You think that you have fallen from grace. You think that you are separate from God. You have been programmed, my friend. Theravada, Hinayana, that's you. Smaller world. You're on a smaller boat. You're in a smaller vessel. That's why you're obeying. That's why you're doing as told. That's why you don't question the narrative. That's why you follow orders. That's why you're looking for a plan. There is no plan, friend. There is no plan. This is a process of realization. The world changes as we wake up. That's the plan if you have to have a plan. The plan is we awaken. So how that happens, there is no plan. We must awaken. There's no words. You must awaken. No plan. We are in a wonder, and the world will change as we, the collective, change. And it won't change before. It will change as we change. As your view gets wider, as your perspective grows, as you grow in your self-responsibility, as you grow in your love and compassion for others, so also will the world, my friend. It can't be any other way. That's how it works. Energy, frequency, and vibration. And the energy, frequency, and vibration we submit as a culture, as a collective, is the energy, frequency, and vibration that will permeate the world. That's why you have to know about the way the world's run, so you change. So you see the world differently and behave differently. Because until you behave differently, the world ain't going to change, friend. You must change your behavior. And you change your behavior through realization, through understanding the deeper principles, understanding your humanness. That's why I'm here every week. That is why I'm here every week. Yeah, so that is what we can do about it. That's what we can do about it. Yes, keep learning. Yes, keep learning. Yes, compassion. Yes. Yes. Okay. Thank you for that question. Hi, Verbal. Thank you for that question. Okay, Chuck. Why are we here, in your opinion? For experience, for the journey. That's why we originally came, and that's why we're here now. That hasn't changed. We're here for the experience and the journey. It's just that this world that was set up to teach and grow, it was a nursery. It was a nursery for consciousness, and new souls, in my opinion, new souls that came here to learn. And so it was a grounds for souls as they are emerging out from the pleroma, out from the void, out from whatever you want to call it. As energy and souls are coming out, right, there is an experiential factor that goes along with that, because everything grows together. You know, it's all one event, right? And so the whole idea was that the earth would be a place where we would grow and learn in this alternate reality, in this 3D. That's why it's important to love the world, because this is part of the larger reality, and to not see the world as fallen or tainted or needing to be fixed, because you're just jeopardizing your own milieu that you are learning from, your own substrate that you're standing in. And if you're chastising it and calling it less than and wanting to escape it, well, then you're toxic in your own environment. This is why integration and flow is so important. So yeah, I think we are here to integrate, to flow, to learn, to grow, to shine our light, to shine your light to others, and be a growth form for them to learn and grow from. Yeah. Any other questions? I'm just scrolling down looking for caps. I'm just looking for Chuck. Chuck, do you think that giving ourselves away for another is our natural state as humans? I'm going to ask that question right now, Gretchen. Okay, here we go. I am so happy you asked this. Okay, here's how you answer that question as far as giving yourselves away. Let's say like you are at a train station. Let's say like you're at a train station, and you're standing there and you got your family around. You guys are hanging out and you're waiting for the train to show up. And you are standing there with your family and friends and everything, and you hear someone yell or scream. And it startles you, and you turn around, and when you turn around, you see that somebody's child has fallen down onto the tracks of the subway, and you see the subway coming. What defines being a human is the person that jumps to save the child without thinking to save themselves. The person that stops and thinks, oh, now wait, if I go after that kid to save the kid, I'm likely going to die. That's the person who has moved off the center. They're now concerned with self-concerns. They're concerned about themselves. So they can't flow into the act of compassion because their brain is in the way. They're becoming non-human. The brain is a facilitator. It shouldn't be keeping you from the compassionate act. If it's keeping you from the compassionate act, it's entangled in life and is attached. The person who isn't attached, the person who's nonplussed, the person who is 100% humane, doesn't even think, runs to save the child. Doesn't even think, am I going to die? Doesn't even think, how close is the train? Runs to save the child. That's the person That's the person who has given themselves completely away. They have realized kenosis. They're not even thinking about themselves anymore. They immediately do what is better for that other person. That's 100% against Darwinism. That's why it's so hard to do. It goes against every instinct you have in your reptilian brain, because your reptilian brain says, do not run after that child because that bus or that train is going to hit you. Self-preservation. That must be nixed. That side of you, that natural tendency to go to the self-preservation, to go to the self-soothing, to go to that selfism, that's that ego, that's the mind that's entangled, that's the person who hasn't realized Zen. Because they haven't been able to let go of themselves enough to be able to carry out the compassionate act without thinking about it. And it's the person that reaches out, that runs to the other without ever considering themselves. That person is transcended. They're no longer in that body, no longer there. They've completely transcended. They are living on in another reality than you, because they're not even thinking of themselves at all. And so that is what they have attempted to do by making us all fight against each other and hate each other and get religious against each other and so forth. It's to kill this natural state in you, because you're born with that. That's the way you were born. That's the way the baby's born. The baby is born with no ego. You learn the ego over time. And so it's the individual that must loose from that. When you become an adult, and you move out of childhood, and you realize that having an ego is a bad idea, and that it's just something there to help you walk through the world and position yourself, but it's not to finally determine the world. And it takes you some years to get to that point. And once you reach that point, then it's the putting away of this instinct inside of you of self-preservation. And this is really the challenge that we're walking into with Zen. Incredible question, Gretchen. Just incredible question. What do you got, King? I believe these Satanists have horror sleep and never have inner peace. They're numbed out, King. So they sleep very well because they don't feel. You guys need to understand, these people don't have any compassion. But when you see Pelosi on the screen and she's like, oh, we're doing this bill to help these people and we care so much about the homeless and we're going to totally make sure that they're doing well. How dare you try and stop this bill when we're trying to help these people? This is the picture of the liar. They don't care. They have complete inner peace in the sense that they have shut off. There's no human. You think Nancy Pelosi is going to run to save the child that's in front of the bus? No. These people are totally centered in greed. It's the principle that comes out of Babylonia. They're so abused. They're so destroyed. Their humanness has been so burned away that there's no human left, friend. You're not even looking at a human when you see Podesta on the screen. When you see Clinton, when you see these people, you're not even looking at a human being. You're looking at a animal that has no compassion and no deeper sense, and lives for the kill, lives for the drug, lives for the accomplishment, the attainment, and crushing others to reach that attainment. Cheating and stealing and lying from others to get what I want. There's no feeling there, friend, or compassion there. So understand, whenever you see these emails in the Epstein files, when you see them talking on the stage to the public, understand it's all lies. Any care they offer, like anytime they say we care about you, or we're going to do this for the public, or we are totally motivated in this way to help people. It's the same thing as when they did the what was that law they passed, the freedom law, where it took away all your sovereign rights and they could search you at the airport. Oh, we're doing this to help you. We're doing this to remove all the terrorists. We care about your safety and we want what is best for you. It's lies. They're doing it. They're passing those laws to take away your sovereignty so that you can't fight them when they come and take more sovereignty from you. That's why they're doing it. It has nothing to do with your benefit at all. When you see those letters in the emails, they're not doing that as a joke. They're dead serious. They don't feel anything. They want that. They're talking, I want to rape that child And this is where we're going to do it. And this is what we're going to do while we're doing it. That's why they use those code words like walnut and cheese pieces. It's because they're having fun talking about the torture and horror they're going to perpetrate on the kids. Folks, this is the world you live in. That's what composes governments. The end. That's why what you see happening, they're resisting the changes. They don't want to change to a world that has the human being's best interest in mind. No. They're trying to keep it the way that it was. That's why they're fighting anybody being taken out of the country. They want it the way that it was, where they're in control. It never has anything to do with compassion. I got to keep going, or I'll never stop talking about this stuff. I mean, there's been another 200, 300 comments that have come in. Okay. Yeah, double speak, exactly what it is. Exactly what it is. Okay, let's continue. Should we continue in Zen? We've been in comments for a long time. Let's get back to our assets, and let's get back to our slide. Okay. Now, ego illusion. Key doctrines include Nagarjuna's Sunyavada, doctrine of the void, which dismantles all fixed concepts through relativity, revealing that nothing has independent reality. And tathata, or suchness, is the direct, non-conceptual perception of the world as it is. The best conception of the world is non-conception, not having a conception of it. That is the purest understanding of the world, or understanding of the world. It also touches on Pure Land Buddhism's faith-based approach, the interconnected realm of phenomena, the Trikaya, the three bodies of the Buddha, and Yogacarra's view that the Mahayana shifts from effortful self-denial to an affirmation of everyday reality through wisdom and compassion. Exactly. How do I build affirmation, wisdom, and compassion? There it right is in front of you, folks. Right there. How do I build an affirmative notion of the world? Through wisdom and compassion, seeing through the lies they've told you about it, seeing through the assumptions and egregores that they have handed to you and that you have believed and reinforced. How do we do that? Right here, through wisdom and compassion. Seeing through the veil and having that compassion where you're not even thinking of any I. There's no I there. Pure compassion, the giving of oneself to another. This is the ultimate nirvana, the ultimate realization. Exposing the futility of grasping, meaning letting yourself go and giving yourself to another. The futility of grasping and leading to a profound turning about in consciousness. See, you no longer see yourself. You just see the child and yourself in that child. And that's where you're going to save the child. Turning about in consciousness where one realizes there's no self to liberate. You see? Asceticism is bunk. There's no self to liberate. There is nothing to attain. You see, remember I just said the Satanists love to attain. You see, the Zen Buddhist realizes there's nothing to attain. There's no need for goals. You are on the journey. It's the day that matters, the compassion coming out that matters, not some future point. Giving yourself now completely. In consciousness where one realizes there is no self to liberate, there is nothing to attain, and there is no destiny to reach. In other words, let go. Let go. Next slide. Emptiness forms the vehicle introduction. Picture the Mahayana as a vast lotus pond where roots dive into the murky sediment of human striving and illusion. Yet petals unfurl. See, this is the beauty that comes out of the illusion. Here we are. Yet petals unfurl pristine above the water, symbolizing liberation's emergence from samsara's, the round of being's depths. Follow closely now. Watts navigates the bloom like we've been doing earlier and now. Navigating the bloom being nirvana. Navigating the bloom, revealing how Buddhism evolves not from intellectual intelligence, but from practical unraveling of self-grasping and phantasmagoria. This offers a skillful means, there's upaya, skillful means like gardening tools to cultivate awakening in diverse soils, minds. You see the beauty of that? This means that it works for everyone, meaning there's no set path, there's no set way. It's a tool. Tool works for everybody. If you're in that situation and you got the right tool, it's going to work for you. And this is what Zen is suggesting. If you've got anxiety, if you're stuck on yourself, stuck with the ego, here's a tool for you to consider, friend. And the tool is called Zen. The tool is called the Tao. Take a look at it. Kick the tires. Push it around. See what you get. See what comes out of it. Try it out. That's all it's saying. So that this phantasmagoria that you're grasping after will suddenly disappear and you won't grasp it anymore. This framework mirrors the transition from religious structured certainties to Zen's spontaneous suchness, ta-ta-ta, whereby negation clears the muddy mind, allowing the innate inner human nature to shine effortlessly through intertwining wisdom. And that's that shining effortlessly when you feel that compassion without thinking about it. That's that shining effortlessly through the intertwining wisdom. And why do you have that compassion? Because of the wisdom, the self-responsibility you've taken on to expand your mind, expand your consciousness. And this is prajna and compassion, karuna, in a dance of void and form. And what is prajna? Sanskrit for praj, or pra, is pre. That's the intensifier. And then jna, to know, consciousness. The intensifier. What is the intensifier? Wisdom. And what does it give you? Compassion. And what have I said to you guys? Nature renders its bounty to those who give themselves to nature. Nature will render her bounty to those who fearlessly and courageously step in, step up, participate, baby. Participate. Not the ascetic who's checked out on the mountain. I'm talking about the bodhisattva who is engaged, baby. Engaged in the journey, all in. Teach me. I want to learn. I want to grow. I want experience. Give it to me, life. I'm ready. Participate. Full send. My favorite line. Full send. This is the approach. This is the approach that kills anxiety. Full send. Fearlessness. That's it, baby. And how do I become fearless? Wisdom. Compassion. Unbridled experience, giving myself to life. This is how it's done. The dance of void and form. Sanskrit. This is karuna, is active compassion. The active compassionate person is the one that is giving themselves away and can't get enough. That's the bodhisattva. Cannot release enough. Pro tip, emptiness forms the vehicle. True nirvana is characterized by 4 positive virtues. Please keep this in mind. A sense of eternity, the feeling of happiness, realizing the true self, which is no self, again, giving yourself away, the experience of purity, not morals. Be very clear, be very, very clear here. The experience of purity, not morals, truth. Not the experience of purity in the sense of I'm doing good, but in the sense of seeing and rendering the truth. The person who is doing good, that is truly compassionate, doesn't know that they're doing good because they're not self-aware. They're in the process of giving themselves away. And what do we see here? The experience of purity is the experience of what? Truth. How do I know the truth? Experience. How do I have experience? I fully participate in the world of dualism. You just heard me say it. Zen sacrilege. How do I find and experience truth? You guys tell me. How do I find truth? How do I know the truth? How do I know it? Experience. Can't be told. The truth can't be told. It is felt. The truth. Because the truth is density. It's spirit. Show me spirit. You see? True spirit is totally invisible, can't be seen. These are the effect of spirit. Matter is the effect of spirit. But pure spirit, there you go. Do you see? So to experience nirvana isn't something that's really tangible. It's something that you feel. It's something that you realize. Just like the opening quote for our evening tonight, Zen is not an art. It is not a religion. It is a realization. It is a realization. And what are you experiencing here on this pro tip? The sense of eternity. The sense of happiness. Are any of these things tangible in your hands? No. The sense of eternity, the sense of happiness, realizing the true self. Can I hand that to you? No. It's faith and experience of purity. Is that something that I have in my hands? No. This is nirvana. This is how you begin to realize that you are experiencing nirvana. This is what happens to you. Eternity, happiness, true self, and purity. Chapter 3, Mahayana Buddhism. Buddhism's focus on nirvana experience. Because the teaching, and this is Watts writing now, because the teaching of the Buddha was a way of liberation, it had no other object than the experience of nirvana, which again, that's contradiction, because nirvana is past experience. I mean, this thing is so full of contradiction, folks. You got to have a big mind and a big IQ to grasp some of this stuff. It takes persistence. The Buddha did not attempt to set forth a consistent philosophical system which expects answers in words. Sorry, I skipped a line. The Buddha did not attempt to set forth a consistent philosophical system trying to satisfy that intellectual curiosity about ultimate things which expects answers in return. I mean, didn't we all expect answers in words? I mean, that's what I used to be when I was heavily in the religion. When pressed for such answers, when questioned about the nature of nirvana, the origin of the world, and the reality of the self, the Buddha maintained a noble silence. There's your dignity. A noble silence. There's your grace. Right there. Identityless. A noble silence. And went on to say that such questions were irrelevant and did not lead to the actual experience of liberation. And it's the exact same concept as the person who was trying to find God, and they asked, can God make a rock so big he can't lift it? Do you see how that is the same kind of idea as this unanswerable noble silence? In other words, when you try and put profundity into words, you jeopardize it. You jeopardize the profundity and risk no longer realizing it because you're trying to dumb it down into words. Do you follow? You can do this in Zen. You can do this in religion. You can do this in medicine. You can do it in science. You see? It's easy to miss the stuff that is right in front of your eyes. And it's interesting how none of the Western religious folk have any ideas that they're an abuse bond, and it's right in front of their eyes. They think they're a sinner. They're in an abuse bond. It's right in front of their eyes, and they don't see it. They don't see the abuse bond. They're blind to it. They're too self-consumed. Why are they self-consumed? Because they're pursuing orthodoxy. They're pursuing words to understand, not personal experience. And personal experience is the only thing that'll teach you truth. You follow? It all comes together as you keep going. The more you learn and the wider your perspective, you will find connections and parallels between everything. Zen, Buddhism, agnosticism, it doesn't matter. You'll find parallels between all of them because they're all talking about this profundity, and there's no way to get it finalized. So the only way to realize this deeper sense is by pursuing and looking at all of them. It has often been said that the later development of Buddhism was due to the inability of the Indian mind, this is the East Indian mind, to rest content with that silence. You see? Hard for that Indian mind to rest content with that silence. So that at last, it had to indulge its overwhelming urge for abstract metaphysical speculations. Here we are in Zen. Here we are in the Upanishads. Metaphysical abstract speculations about the nature of reality. Such a view of the genius of Mahayana Buddhism is, however, rather misleading. The vast body of Mahayana doctrine arose not so much to satisfy intellectual curiosity as to deal with the practical psychological problems, here we go, the practical psychological problems that go along with Hinayana Buddhism that they encountered in following the Buddha's way, the Theravada. Certainly, the treatment of these problems is highly scholastic, and the intellectual level of the Mahayana texts is very lofty. But the consistent aim is to bring about the experience of liberation, not to construct a philosophical system. In the words of Sir Arthur Berendale Keith, and this is interesting, the metaphysics of the Mahayana in the incoherence of its system, meaning it's no words, in the incoherence of its systems, shows clearly through the secondary interest attaching to it. The words, the interest, the secondary. Remember, primary and secondary, you're always behind the ball. You're always behind the ball when you're thinking about it. The person that is operating from instinct is always, the person that is operating on instinct always has the ball. The person who is operating on thought is always behind the ball. That's where that comes from. The metaphysics of the Mahayana is the incoherence of its system shows clearly enough. The secondary interest attaching to it in the eyes of the monks whose main interest was concentrated on the attainment of release. The Mahayana, no less than the Hinayana, is concerned vitally with this practical end, and its philosophy is of value merely insofar as it helps men to attain their aim. Now, why does it cause practical psychological problems, Chuck? Well, let's find out. What psychological problems, Chuck? You mean when I pursue Theravada, Hinayana Buddhism, I'm going to start into some psychological problems as well as some of the Mahayana? Yes, you will. What are they? Well, limited psychological insight. The Pali Canon's approach is described as mostly constructing analytical catalogs of mental functions, which doesn't go far enough in addressing the nuances of human awareness and experience. Do you see that? The analytical catalogs of mental functions is not going to take you far enough. It's going to put you in a position, is it not, of desiring not to desire? Because I'm doing analog cataloging of my mental functions. In other words, I am catching my mind into myself. Do you see why they call this the Hinayana Buddhism? It doesn't see that desiring not to desire is desire. There's a deeper principle. Okay, continuing. Insufficient guidance on practical difficulties. While the precepts, ethical guidelines are clear, the texts aren't always helpful in explaining or resolving the real world challenges of implementing them. And I mean, that's that whole idea that when I say all of reality is an illusion, you're like, bro, what are you talking about? This ain't illusion. I'm knocking on this stuff, man. This is real. What you talking about? You see, there's a psychological impediment there that naturally goes along with Buddhism. And we talk about that stuff. We've been trying to work that stuff out so that you guys aren't caught in a real world challenge, understanding that we are not in a real world, we're in an illusion. You see? These are the challenges that go along with it, and I'm going to offer you the answers in the next slide. So continuing, the paradox of effort in pursuing nirvana. There's an impression that early Buddhism relies on sheer effort, here it is, to unlock liberation, like forcing a door open, which can lead to counterproductive striving. This creates tension because a true awakening cannot occur through intentional acts. Read that, friend. True awakening cannot occur through intentional acts like trying to escape the everyday world or changing forms or grasping at solutions. Such attempts, what do? They only manifest as further holding and attachment. That's why when I desire not to desire, that's why when I desire not to desire, I'm actually desiring. I'm further entangling myself into the koan, essentially. I'm further entangling myself into the puzzle, thinking that I'm solving the puzzle. It's like the person who asks forgiveness for their sin from Jesus is thinking they're resolving their sin problem. They think they're resolving their forgiveness issue, not realizing sin and this whole idea of having to have atonement don't exist. They're further exacerbating their problem of sin by asking forgiveness from it, friend. They're doing the same thing as the person who tries to kill their ego. By trying to kill the ego, you are further announcing it. You are giving it life. The sinner's doing the same thing. By renouncing and asking forgiveness for their sin, they're only reinforcing being a sinner. Do you see how it becomes plain as day when you start to apply psychology? That's why I said, if you psychoanalyze Christianity, you will run the moment you realize what you're doing. You will run so fast, you will not be able to get away from it fast enough, because you will realize the psychology that it's causing you, the dysfunction that it's causing you, and it's keeping you held down. It's keeping you from transcending and moving forward and becoming more and more compassionate and loving, because the entire thing works on command, and love doesn't come through command. It comes through realization. That's why the realization available in Zen will get you so much further than any Western religious doctrine. 10 times further. Because it's about realization to understand. We don't understand through words, we understand through realization. Okay. The futility of desires, ideals, and stratagems. Practitioners realize that all deliberate actions are in fact in vain, as everything is relational and impermanent. Remember, we arise mutually, seen through prajna, or intuitive wisdom. This includes pursuing goals that endlessly lead to more goals. Again, desiring not to desire leads to more desire. Not sinning, making mistakes, clutching at insubstantial objects, the afterlife, and self-defeating nature of the inner subject, ego, that exists only in relation to what it chases, which I just explained. It only exists, those things only exist in relation to how hard you chase them. The impossibility of willful letting go. There's no escape or way to let go through effort or decision of the will, leading to a stranglehold on one's own life. Again, reiterating what I was just saying, this culminates in the profound question, but who is it that wants to get out? Highlighting the illusion of a separate self trying or striving for freedom. Now, what are the answers to these psychological problems? Well, to the limited psychological insight, Mahayana addresses this. Remember, this isn't Hinayana. Mahayana, the larger vehicle, the larger mind, addresses this by developing sophisticated doctrines like the philosophy of emptiness. Interesting. Yogacaro's mind-only teachings, which we'll look at here in a minute, offering deeper explorations of awareness beyond mere catalogs. Now, what are some of these teachings? First, pro tip from Yogacara. Thank you, Yogacara, for these pro tips. All phenomena are manifestations of consciousness. There are no external objects independent of the mind. And so again, to free from the psychological insight that you're bound, understand that you're bound by your own mind. You yourself can free your mind. This is called saving yourself. This is what this little pro tip can help you do. Realize that you yourself are the only one that can save. No one can save you. You must save yourself through wisdom and through experience. Risk, doubt, non-belief, not obeying. This is how you find the independent mind, right? Yogacara trick number 2. Liberation involves purifying the consciousness through instant turning defiled consciousness into wisdom. Sorry, let's try it again. Turning defiled consciousness into wisdom. Liberation involves purifying the consciousness through insight, turning defiled consciousness into wisdom. And what is this? Obviously, around the front end. What is it on the front end? Come on, tell me. Learning from your mistakes. That's what that is. This is why your mistakes are valuable. They're not sins. They're mistakes that teach you. We learn through mistakes. We learn through screwing up. We definitely learn through achieving wonderful things and realizing great things. I get it. But the big teacher, the central, most important, most deep teacher is the teacher that hurts you. Is the life experience, not abuse, I'm not saying that, is the life experience. Life is a teacher. The life experience harming you, life giving you the short end of the stick. And this is how you learn. And this is what the Yogacara pro tip number 2 is teaching you. Learning to turn that which has harmed you, that which has defiled you, into a deeper, deeper consciousness, accessing wisdom through the pain. This is how we bear the limited psychological insight. And then finally, phenomena are representation only, empty of subject-object duality, emphasizing non-dual awareness. And that is, again, don't get taken by the illusion that you see. Don't get entangled. Do not entangle yourself with the illusion, because then you're caught in it. You're caught in, and when you're caught in the illusion, you're going to be unhappy, stagnant. You're not going to grow. You're going to get sick, on and on, the kind of stuff we've been talking about. Second, insufficient guidance on practical difficulties is a short straw from Zensarit. Mahayana provides adaptable, skillful means, upaya, through diverse sutras, which are verses in Buddhism, and teachings tailored to individual capacities. In other words, it's tailored to you. It's tailored to you. It's not a one-size-fits-all like religion. Like, you have to see the world this way. You have to see yourself as a center. You have to be forgiven. Absolutes. This is inappropriate. See? Here we are. Sudden awakening, emptiness, sunyata of all phenomena, showing that goals and attachments are illusory and self-perpetrating. Sorry, I skipped up, didn't I? I totally screwed up. Sorry, we're on the third one. I'm really sorry, folks. I'm really sorry. I'm getting tired. Yes, it is. We're 2.5 hours in. All right, let me try again. The paradox of effort in pursuing nirvana, Mahayana resolves this by emphasizing non-dualistic realization and sudden awakening, where liberation arises naturally without forced striving or attachment to methods. And this is the picture of the person that runs to save the child without thinking about it. The futility of desires, ideals, and stratagems through prajna, meaning wisdom, Mahayana reveals the emptiness, sunyata, of all phenomena, showing that goals and achievements are illusory and self-perpetrating. In other words, don't get caught up in your own stuff. Don't get, you're not something on a stick. Don't get caught up in yourself, or you'll be caught in your own illusion and your own self-perpetuating. See, that's self-consumption, the ascetis. The person who thinks if they memorize enough verses, they'll begin to behave appropriately. This is the person that is chasing dead ends and means. They're not going to grow. You follow? Last, the impossibility of willful letting go. The solution lies in recognizing the illusion of a separate self, an Atman, as posed in the question, who wants to get out, leading to spontaneous release without willful action. And again, the impossibility of willful letting go. This is the person who says, I'm going to awaken today. Today, I'm going to sit down, and at 10:30, I'm going to awaken. You see, this person is attempting willful action. It's like the person who thinks that they can will their way out of temptation. No. You have to change your mind to remove the temptation. The temptation is going to be there as long as you stay in the same mind, thinking if you concentrate hard enough, you'll get rid of it. No, that just means you're consumed by it. There must be a mind change. There has to be, in other words, a release. That's why I can't purposefully deny or remove myself from my mind. It has to happen spontaneously when I'm not thinking about it. Because the only way I can forget my mind is if I'm not thinking about it. You see, it's funny like that. But do you guys understand? Let's go to questions. Let's see what you guys have to say. Here. If you guys have any questions, please place them in all caps. Marine General, you are going for it. Well done. Yes, I will agree with whatever you're saying. Stacy is awesome. Yes. Totally good. She's awesome. A huge help to me. Yeah. Put a little comedy in there for you. Yeah, and there's a way of looking in there, Ben Bigwood. There's a way in there. You've been here a few weeks. You know what I'm talking about. Yeah, the world isn't as it seems. That's the double split. The double split theory shows you that the world collapses when you stop looking at it. It only condenses when you look at it. The double split theory or test shows that emphatically, without any doubt, that the entire all of the world literally dissolves, and then it only collapses into itself when you look at it. It's really true. It's amazing. It's amazing. It's the wonder that we are. Yeah, please hit the like button and please share. My stuff doesn't travel well. It doesn't travel well because I say things that the controllers don't like, and oftentimes I'll have theories and stories that are intermingled with my Zen and what I do that the controllers don't want you to know. and all the stuff we talked about tonight about KM and how they hide from you and how the world is based on word illusions and egregores. They don't want you knowing any of that. They don't want you knowing deeper concepts than what religion offers you. They want you staying in a Theravada Buddhism or a Theravada concept of life. They don't want you on the great ship, the Mahayana. They don't want you on the larger perspective, because large perspective people, they don't obey. They don't obey. People who think for themselves, they don't listen to someone telling them the truth or whatever. They just observe and listen to that person, and if what they have to say is efficacious and helpful, great. They'll integrate it. But they don't, the awakened person just doesn't take you just for what you're saying. They have discernment going on there. They don't just drink it down from the authority and just like, okay, just going to integrate this no matter what, just going to integrate whatever they say into my life. I'm never going to question it. The awakened person questions. They understand they didn't come here to work in a cube. Chuck, off topic. That's fine. Hi, Clueless. I like to go through KM videos again live. I would like a discussion now that our eyes have been opened. Yeah. What if we did that on Zoom? I don't know how to do that on YouTube. But what if I walk through? No, that's actually a good idea. What if I took my like parts 3A, 3B, and 3C, rather than going through parts 1 and 2, but go through the mind control 3A, 3B, and 3C on Zoom? What do you guys think of that idea? What do you guys think of that idea? Thank you so much, Mel. Thank you. Spread the word around. Thank you. They don't like me because I'm not monetized, so they can't make a lot of money off of me. So I'm not monetized. They don't like when I talk about like the Epstein list, or if I talk about the Khazarian mafia, or I talk about the Goy, or I talk about human sacrifice. They don't like that stuff being exposed. And they don't like that stuff because it wakes people up, because it's so jarring. When someone says the world runs on child blood currency, when you say something like that, it's so jarring to a person who hasn't woken up yet that they will be like, wait, what did that person just say? And the last thing the controllers want is for you to ask questions. They don't want you questioning the narrative. They want you drinking in the religions. They want you drinking in the medicine. They want you drinking in the politics. They want you drinking in the government. They want you drinking in all the laws that they pass that remove your sovereignty. They want you just sucking that stuff in without ever questioning it. The last thing they want is a discerning person. And so they don't want me, because I instigate questions. I make people question, or I cause people to question their religion, their beliefs, their assumptions. I cause people to question the medical industry, and no longer assuming and believing what your doctor tells you, no longer believing or assuming what your pastor tells you. I encourage you to not believe those people. That's what I do. I encourage you not to believe the government, not to listen to the politicians. Don't watch the media. Don't listen to the media. That is not what the narrative controllers want, because that's a person who thinks for themselves, who doesn't buy much of anything, who isn't going to fall into any kind of egregore, and isn't going to believe their BS. Well, that's a society that can't be controlled. And so the last thing they want is for you to actually be uncontrollable, because then you can't be controlled. And here we are again at Yogi Berra. An uncontrollable person can't be controlled. And when you ask those kind of questions, and when you put my kind of stuff into the public, it harms their narrative. And so they don't like me. Thank you. It got 60,000 views in 48 hours. That's amazing. I told a gentleman one time when I met on Zoom, the second week when I met with the group from Europe, I had a guy say to me in Europe, he said, listen, I love your stuff so much. It's absolutely incredible. I'm willing to give you an hour of my time every single day. How can I help you? And I said, take my videos, start making little 30-second, 1 minute to 5 minute clips, and just post them all over your social media. That's how you can help me. Because I can't reach the people that have subscribed to you. Only you can reach those people. And the only way they're going to know about me is if you share me, because the narrators don't like to share me. My original KM video got in some kind of rotation field. That was before I got censored hard. And by the time I released the third video, they said, you do that crap again, we're shutting down your channel. So they took notice. But they allowed those first two to stay up for whatever reason, I don't know. But they allowed those two to stay up. They say one more, it's over. So if you guys want to talk about it on your channel, or excuse me, if you guys want to talk about it on my channel, it's got to be through Zoom. We'll have to talk about it through Zoom, and you guys got to tell me if that's what you want to do. Yeah, exactly. One of the hoodies, please. I hope to get one. Yeah, the problem is I don't have any hoodies that are done. I've mailed them all. I don't have that. Someone wrote me this week wanting to see a hoodie. I don't have them. I've sold them all. And the next one I'm getting one at the end of the week, and I'll take a picture of it so I can send it to you. But all I've got are the ones that I wear. And these aren't completed. The ones that I wear have a writing on the bottom like this, or like this here. They have writing on it like this. See? And the new ones have that. The old ones were just the swag, was just the embroidery here. It didn't have the embroidered words. And so I don't have anything to show you. So I'm sorry. I'm going to have one. One is being made. I got another order for one. And so it's being made. And so when I get it, I'll take a picture of it and I'll send you pictures of it. I'm thinking that maybe you might have been the person who emailed me this week, but I'm happy to send you a picture of that. But it's part of the problem is my whole swag thing blew up in my face. So I'm sorry. I'm not prepared for all that stuff. I'm sorry. What can you teach me on Zoom, Stacy? I'd love to hear what you have to teach me on Zoom. And do you guys want to cover the Khazarian Mafia on the Zoom meeting? Here we go. You can stream the videos and be live over it. You see, okay, that's an idea, but the videos are so packed full of information. If I start talking, people will miss points in the video. So that might cause a bit more confusion. But if you guys want to walk through the KM on my Zoom meetings, we can do that. And that's up to Zoom. Zoomers control that. I don't control Zoom. You guys control Zoom. So you know, if you guys want that, tell me, and I'll give it to you. I'll give you the KM. If that's what you guys want in Zoom. Love you too, Aaron Jane. Thanks for being here. Good night. I know that some of you it's real late and you got to get going. We'll hold off on any more slides tonight. I'll finish the night doing some chat, and we'll end a little bit before 8. So we don't. I'm trying to start ending before 8 so that we don't drag all the way through to 8:30 and stuff, because I know some people are up late. So I'm trying to have a stop point at 8 so that anybody that needs to get to bed, they can get to bed. Because I know not everybody is 8 o'clock right now. They're pushing 2 a.m. Question everything. Yes, question everything. Yeah. For right reasons, you help me feel more at peace about my experiences, Chuck. I'm glad to hear that, Amy. Love hearing it. See, that's the problem, Miss Red. You know, it's really true. A lot of the YouTubers I see, my God, the ego on them is just, I mean, it's bad. And they're demanding and they're degrading to their chat. If somebody asks them a question that's sort of against their narrative, I mean, they will just, I mean, some of the responses from people are just like, wow, what? So, yeah. Yeah, I very much try not to be doom and gloom. I really try not to be negative for sure. And just try to be an encouragement. Certainly some of the things I say negative, but just try to be an encouragement. Here we go. Don't want to question. Don't want you to question the narrative. There's some misspelling here. Apart when you look into it all and connect the dots. Yeah, for sure. Okay. Yes, I especially would like to discuss in relation to Palantir Technologies. Oh, gotcha. Flock cameras and Patriot. Yeah. What a good thing to understand, Clueless. There was a plan that the Satanists had put together that was in play. Okay. And it was happening. The main part of it started when they shot JFK. Okay. So the main usurpation and taking over of specifically the United States and make it the military arm to carry out the satanic agenda, okay, that all dates back to JFK, because JFK wanted to end the, not the CBI, the CIA. And because he wanted to fragment and to dissolve it into 1,000 pieces, it's the narrative controllers that utilize the CIA as a military branch to control people. And so they had a play in place. And the World War II, Vietnam, Korea, the laws and the whole women's lib movement, and more recently, what you saw happening with all the rioting in like 2019, 2020, and then the COVID thing that happened. Okay, understand, all of those were part and parcel of a plan that was happening. It was going to happen. It was going to take over and destroy all the United States and the world by probably around 2016 to 2020, right around there, 2025, right around there, starting around 2012, just after. Okay. So meaning the concentrated focus, but the JFK assassination was the kickoff. Okay, so the concentrated focus began in that 2012, and this is what they couldn't see past with the spyglass, because they're running spyglass through the 70s, right? And they've got the plan. They're instigating the plan. The CIA is doing the plan, all right? And they send in their spyglass soldiers. And the spyglass soldiers get to 2012 when this thing is supposed to really be closing in and taking over. And they can't see anything. It's cloudy. All the people that are traveling forward in time in this spyglass thing they're doing, right? The potential, like I said to you guys, it's not possible to go forward in time because of free will. That's what he came upon, free will. Do you understand that? Because up until 2012, it wasn't free will. We were carrying out the egregores. No one's thinking for themselves. You're on a course. But when 2012 comes along, as McKenna pointed out, right? There's nothing but fogginess. That's free will. The scenario has changed and it's become foggy because now the people, human beings, they're going to determine the future. Well, that's our free choice. That's determinant on how aware the society and culture is. Well, then in that case, then there's no way to for sure to see what happens because you don't know the time, the pace, tempo, the direction that the human collective is going to open up into. And so the controllers couldn't see past 2012 because of 2012. That's when our free will began to come into play. And so our free will, which is steered by our awareness, is what is being teased right now. Your disobedience is being teased right now. When are you going to stop obeying? This is what the larger picture, the ultimate reality is wondering from us, the collective. When are you guys going to stop following orders? When are you guys going to stop believing these political figures that are telling you that there's war and these people hate each other? When are you going to stop believing that nonsense? When are you going to stop taking the jabs? When are you going to stop doing that? Because you're polluting your society. When are you guys going to stop doing that? When are you going to stop believing what they're telling you to believe and think for yourself? You see? And how many of you woke up after 2012? I did. I woke up post 2012. I was starting to wake up beforehand, but I truly woke up like the bigger picture right around just before 2012. And I think a lot of people are probably in a similar position. Certainly there's people that woke up earlier. I get it. I'm just saying that around 2012, there seemed to be a pretty big snap. Okay. This ties into Planeteer Technologies, Flock Cameras, and Patriot Act because all of those things were going to be used to control us. But we're moving out of that controlled space. So these things are dissolving. Why do you think what's happening with the money systems right now? It's these companies, these people losing their money, losing their control. Money runs the world, folks. You guys know that. Greed. And greed is a low energy frequency. It's low vibration, which is why the world has stayed a greedy cesspool of blood. Okay? And so that kind of stuff is going to either be rechanneled to our benefit or removed, because we're walking into a greater way. We are walking into a humane oriented world. And so these sacrificial technologies that they developed are going away. They're going away. How could it be otherwise? How do you have a great awakening when everybody is underneath flock cameras, the Patriot Act, and Palantir technologies? That's not a great awakening. That's like saying we're all going to become Christians, or we're all going to become Islamists. That's the great awakening. We're all going to become Islamists. There you go. We're all done. All good. We're all going to become Islamists. And so it's the same craziness to think that Palantir technologies, flock cameras, 5G, and all this stuff that is actually destroying the society is going to be around in 50 years. It's not. We're moving towards a humane society, in my opinion. And you might disagree. You might think, no, dude. No. We're all screwed. We're all becoming bots. We're moving into a technological society, and you won't even be human anymore, Chuck. What are you talking about? Okay, go ahead and run with that narrative and see where it takes you. How enlightened does it make you? How aware does it bring you? How inspiring is it to you? Knowing that we're all just going to become bots, robots, doomed, finished. We're done. Population is going to end. Humans are gone. Okay, run with that existentialism. See where it takes you. See how much faith it provides you. See how much hope it provides you. See how much truth it provides you. Degrading the human being like that and saying that our potential isn't good enough. See where it takes you. How humane does that make you? Saying that we're not good enough, we're just going to become a bunch of bots, we're idiots, we're doomed, Chuck. What are you talking about? Where does it take you? That's why I have the existential view that I have. We're moving into a humane-oriented society. We're not moving into a doomed spot. And my entire philosophy, my entire understanding of myself and the world is based on that we will continue and we will go on for thousands and thousands and hundreds of thousands and millions of years from here. That's the stand I take. And the world becomes whatever you think it to be. And so that's what I'm thinking the world to become. That's the stand I'm taking. And I am accepting in faith, not because I got a big list of plans to offer you guys to substantiate what I'm saying. I'm saying, no, I'm doing this in faith. Faith in the human being, faith in the human heart, faith in the human potential. Friend, who are you talking to? Know what I'm saying? And so this is my position of faith. That's where I stand. In faith. I have nothing to substantiate it on other than the human heart, humanness, potential. And that's why I know Palantir technologies, flock cameras, 5G, and the Patriot Act are done. Done. In the future, we will transcend. We will emerge past these. We will grow past them. This is what creative consciousness does, friend. It escapes the egregores. It escapes the trap. Believe in yourself, friend. Have faith in yourself. Seriously. Don't live in this degraded world that they put you in. That we're all screwed. We're bound to be stupefied, set aside, and cattle for the rest of our existence. Come on. If you want to change the world, change your perception of it, change your assumptions of it, change what you think about it, friend, or the world will never change, man. It'll stay the doom and gloom and technological idiocy that you think it's going to become. Because that's how the world works. It becomes what you think it is, friend. And as long as you stay a doomer, as long as you stay negative, as long as you say that we're screwed, that's exactly what will happen. The world becomes what you think of it. So I am here, friend, to encourage you. I'll finish with this. I am here, friend, to encourage you to change your behavior through perception. Take on the self-responsibility to learn the real world, and no one can tell you it. You will have to go out and find out. That's called self-responsibility. And the only reason nature is going to save us is if we are self-responsible, because we don't deserve to be saved if we're not self-responsible. You don't deserve it. Nature is a meriting system. Do you understand that? It is a meriting system. It's not something handed to you. Here you go, do with it whatever you want. No, 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 no. It's a meriting system. And the more you realize and understand it, the more appropriate you become, because it's a meriting system. It becomes what you think of it. Your behavior determines it. And as long as you believe you're fallen, as long as you believe you're subset, as long as you believe you need something, as long as you think you need a savior to come and save you, you will remain in that space, period. There will be no awakening for you, friend. You will stay blind and die that way. Just like the sinner dies believing they're a sinner. You will die that way because nature's merciless. We as a collective must change our perception if we want the world to change. It hangs on you. It hangs on me. The force or whatever it is that's helping us become aware is just that. It's just saying, here you go. Here's some more information. What are you going to do with it? Here's some more information. What are you going to do with it? It's not determining anything other than giving you the opportunity to raise your awareness and become aware of a bigger world than the media told you, than some dude on YouTube told you, than some book or professor told you, than some doctor told you, than some pastor told you. That's your job. That's your job. And my role here is to inspire this in you. Not because I give you a bunch of finite set facts, but because I give you a bigger perspective, friend. That's what I'm doing here. That's why I'm here. I'm here because I love you, and because I love you, I see the traps that you're in. I see the mindscape that you've become lost in. I see it. And I am here, truly. My role is to help be a light to you so you yourself can find your way out, because no one's going to hold your hand. You yourself will have to escape yourself. Escape meaning these things that have been put in your mind, the klesha, the maya that has been put into your mind. That's why I'm here. And I love you as a peer, not as a parent to child, as a peer to peer, meaning respect. My love is based on my respect and care and admiration of you. That's where that comes from, because the potential that is in you is the same potential that is in me. And I know my potential is pretty damn powerful. And I know it's the same in you. And I know if I can be a light that can awaken that potential in you, my friend, I will get out of your way. Meaning grow, take it, run, grow, be the light that I can't be. Be the light that society needs you to be, wants you to be. Become that. Become an asset to the great awakening. There is no greater rush that you will ever feel than helping others, showing compassion to others, and saying, here, friend, here's an idea you can try that might help you. There's no greater calling, friend. That's why I'm here. That's why you're here, to show love and compassion and awareness to others so they also can awaken. Friend, it doesn't get any bigger than that. It doesn't. The journey is the point, and filling your journey with compassion and love, my friend, that is what nirvana is. That's the freeing scape that you know is there. Okay? Good. Good way to end. I love you guys. I love you guys passionately. And I will look forward to seeing you next week. We will bring it up next week. I've already got the slides. As you can see, here's what's coming. I've got it coming, friend. Here's what's coming. It's all coming. All right? So I just want you to know I'm all in for you guys. I'm committed. Okay? Okay. That's why I'm here. Okay. I love you guys. Sort of an abrupt ending, but we're going to end it like that. I'm exhausted. I love you guys. And I'm going to end with some wonderful music that we started off with. I will see you next week. Thank you for being here. Thank you for caring. Seriously, thank you for caring. Thank you for taking the time. It matters. Others matter. Really. We're saving ourselves here, friend. It matters. This information is important. It's important. Please be a part of it. Please join me. Share my work. Share my my material and make your own. Be a light to the world. If you're not a video maker, great. Become a musician, become a poet, something. Give your life, meaning your art, your beauty to the world. This is how we help and save one another. Okay, I'll see you guys next week.
Spend my days with a woman unkind, smoke my stuff and drink all my wine. Made up my mind to make a new start, going to California with an aching in my heart. Someone told me there's a girl out there with love in her eyes and flowers in her hair. Took my chances on a big jet plane. Never let them tell you they're all the same. The sea was red and the sky was gray. Wondered how tomorrow could ever follow today. The canyons and the mountains start to tremble and shake. Children of the sun begin to wake. It seems that the wrath of the gods got a punch on the nose, and it's starting to flow. I think I might be sinking. Throw me a line if I reach it in time. Meet you up there where the path runs straight and high. To find a queen without a king, they say she plays the guitar and cries and sings la 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 la. Ride a white mare at the footsteps of dawn, trying to find a woman who's never, never, never been born. Standing on my hill